We're gonna have two public hearings here tonight. During the public hearing, there is a chance for the public to speak. We'll have the first public hearing. Everyone, the applicant will give a little. We'll talk about what they're here for. At that point, the public can come up and speak, state what their questions or concerns. They will talk to the board, not to the applicant, but to us. After that is done, the applicant will come back up, address those questions as needed, and then we can repeat if needed for each agenda item. After the public hearings are done, we're gonna open up the plan commission meeting at that time. At that time, there'll be a citizens comments portion. That is the only other time the public can speak, and then the rest of the meeting is between the board and the applicant. So with that, we'll call order the first public hearings at 6:31 PM. Roll call, please.
President Osterman,
Here.
trustee Plotecker is absent and excused. Commissioner Alhaffen,
Here.
Commissioner Everly,
Here.
Commissioner Howard. Here. Commissioner McCormick,
Here.
Planner Malarkey,
Here.
Attorney Macy,
Here.
Engineer Lysis is absent and excused. Administrator Nicholas. Here. And Clerk Pazzo Ketch to record the minutes.
Thank you. Notice was given that public hearings will be held by the Lisbon Plan Commission on Wednesday, March 27th, 2024, starting at 6:30 PM at the Richard Young Memorial Fire Station at North 54 West 26455 Lisbon Road. To solicit public comments on the following, we have public hearing number 1. A request by Lisa McNeil, Momentum Movement, for a conditional use permit to allow a massage and physical therapy limited family business in an accessory structure on the R1 suburban single-family zoning district on the property located at North 68 West 26510 Wilderness Way, LSPT 0222.016. I don't know if the planner or the applicant is starting off.
Sure, I can start off. So to add to that, the petitioner is looking for the conditional use to locate the business in what's described in the application as the guest house, one of the accessory buildings directly behind the residence. The property is 1.13 acres in size. Parking for clients would be provided off-street in the driveway. The comprehensive plan for the property plans the lot as R1 suburban single-family residential. The low-density residential, 20,000 square feet. A service-oriented business or a limited family business is allowed as a conditional use in the zoning district, and that's what's being requested. The zoning ordinance has a number of standards to evaluate for a limited family business or a service-oriented business. Those are outlined in the staff report. I'll quickly go through what those are. The Plan Commission needs to determine whether a business is considered a limited family business. So that's the first step. The main portion of the business must be owned and operated by members of the family. All employees except one full-time equivalent shall be members of the family residing on the premises. The business shall not operate on a parcel having less than the minimum parcel size for the district. The business shall be operated in the residence, the attached garage, or detached accessory building, and only where the principal use of the property is single-family residential, and the business is clearly incidental. The business is operated entirely within the buildings. The Plan Commission shall determine the total percentage of the buildings that may be devoted. However, the total percentage shall not exceed 20% of what is available on the property. The business has to be run primarily for monetary gain. There shall be no manufacturing or assembly of products and no sale of products unless those are produced on site. The business shall not use machinery, tools, or other appliances unless specifically allowed by the permit. Adequate off-street parking needs to be provided. Signage is limited to 3 square feet. And the permit shall automatically expire and terminate upon the sale of the property or its transfer to a non-occupant of the property. In addition to those specific conditions for the limited family business, there's also general conditional use considerations as well. The conditional use has to comply with all regulations of the zoning district. The business shall not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare. The conditional use shall be compatible with the character of the neighborhood. Adequate measures shall be taken to provide ingress and egress to minimize traffic hazards and congestion. Adequate off-street parking to be provided. Use shall not be noxious or offensive. The use shall not injure the use of the property in the immediate vicinity. The property use shall not impede the orderly development of surrounding property. The public interest needs to outweigh the individual interests that are adversely affected by the use. And then all other conditional use standards identified elsewhere in the ordinance need to be met. So that's a broad overview of what's being requested and what the zoning ordinance requires.
Questions from the commission? The applicant here? Do you have anything you wish to add at this time? All right. And then we'll open up the public hearing for comments. Come up to the mic, state your name and address, please.
Good evening. Name is James Enters, Enters. Address is N68W26614 Wilderness Way. For reference, I am, I believe 3 or 4 houses away from the applicant's residence. So just had a few questions for the applicants. I appreciate you guys hearing me out. So I don't know exactly how this works. This is my first public hearing. So do you guys document the questions and then, so you write it down or whatever and, okay. All right, so a couple questions. And this will make probably more sense to the applicant rather than you, especially the first question, but will this proposed business be utilizing any part of the ongoing landscaping project that's going on in the backyard? Question number 2, what supplies do you need to run the business? And how do you intend to purchase these supplies? Have you had any clients come to the house or that outbuilding for services already prior to being granted permission? Will your Airbnb still be active if the business is granted? And was there a license or short-term rental permit obtained for the Airbnb? And this is kind of I guess, opinion-based question, but does the public interest or does your neighbors' approval or disapproval of this application influence your decision at all, whether or not you're going to go through with this application? So those are my questions, a few concerns that I have. And just speaking with some other neighbors, there might be some redundancy here. You're probably going to hear a lot of similar concerns, but I think that's important to hear. You know, it's not just coming from one neighbor, it's coming from multiple neighbors. So my primary concern, having a family on Wilderness Way, is going to be the traffic. Reading through the application, it says it's going to be limited to 4 clients per day. I would encourage the board and everyone else to take that with a grain of salt. I'm sure you guys have reviewed the location where the proposed business would be. It's on a cul-de-sac. It's a dead end. There's one way in, one way out. So right away, you're gonna have traffic coming eastbound and then you're gonna have traffic coming westbound. Some other considerations will be, it mentioned another employee potentially working there as well. So that's in addition to the residents there, it's gonna be another employee going in and out. And for me, again, I have a small family. There's multiple families on that cul-de-sac. And that dramatically increases the danger and liability for us on that road. I purchased approximately 3 years ago, and a huge selling point for that home was how quiet it was. And it's a dead end. Nobody is going in and out. I'm sure the neighbors agree, but I know exactly what car is going in and exactly what car is going out. And I think this is a particularly unique situation being on a cul-de-sac, right? I think it would be different if the business were on VV or another through street where it may not make much of a difference. This is such a small private cul-de-sac. This is going to have a dramatic change if this is approved. Not to mention, this is, again, the reason I purchased, it's a residential area, it's zoned for residential. I think it's inappropriate for a business with customers to be there. That completely changes the dynamic of the neighborhood. So in closing, I think there's a reason that this requires a public hearing. And that is to not just review the facts on paper. It's to hear from the people that are going to be directly impacted by this business. And we're here and we appreciate your guys' willingness to hear us out. Thank you.
My name is Raymond Groth. My address is W265 N6944 Thousand Oaks Drive. My property butts up directly behind Lisa's. As you've heard, and you're gonna hear from a lot of people, one of the main concerns about bringing a business in is you're bringing in customers. So unlike working from home, she's bringing in customers, and customers are gonna be coming in, adding additional traffic and safety concerns. As we all have, you go to an appointment, you're running late. What do? You drive faster. You got another appointment right after, your appointment ran a little long. What do? You drive faster. Right now, this bus stop for it is at the very beginning of the cul-de-sac, and her house is at the very end of the cul-de-sac. The kids live directly across the street from her. They're gonna be walking that entire way, and you're gonna get customers coming in and out, and the only thing they care about is what messages came on their phone while they're in their massage. They're not gonna care about the safety of the kids. They're not gonna care about the kids riding their bike down the street. They're not gonna care about the kids playing in their yard. All they're gonna do is care about going to their next appointment. But however, that's not the main reason I'm against this. I do want to discuss all the other numerous issues we are having with Lisa McNeil and the property. We live in a pond shared by 6 homes. Lisa is one of the people on this home. You have the map up, her house butts up against it. As you heard before, Lisa notified us in writing that she's planning to turn the pool house into a small office, when in fact she turned it into an Airbnb a few years ago. If you go onto the website and go on now, you'll see it's completely booked up for the whole summer. There's even a little note that this property is always booked up, act now. I already have Airbnb customers coming onto my property, playing in the pond. I don't have insurance to cover Airbnb customers who drowned in my pond. I don't carry insurance to cover her business. There shouldn't be a public business run right behind my house. I bought in a residential area, not a commercial property. I mean, at least she should have a fence to stop them from playing in the pond, but I don't want to look at a fence either. I didn't buy a commercial property. I bought a residential property. The second issue I have is the upkeep of the yard is completely non-existent in the back. It's been over 3 years since they've cut their grass. The grass is over 2 feet long and completely matted down. She should at least have to cut her grass. Third, there's been continuous construction on her property for the last several years, continually changing the contouring of her yard. She does not provide any silt fencing or anything. So the dirt is all just washing down into the pond. I have pictures of this that I took yesterday. I can show you. You'll see V-grooves where the water is just streaming through this mud and it's just washing right into our pond. This is the water detention. She's filling it up. Fourth reason is they're dumping their construction materials in the pond. You can see from the picture, they used to have a pool, and that's the pool house they turned into the Airbnb. I don't know if she ever took out a permit for all the electrical and plumbing she did, but that's not my issue. My issue is after she took all her sidewalks and other construction debris and dumped it in the pool and buried it with dirt. She then took the rest and dumped it in the pond. I have pictures of her doing that as well on me, and I'd be more than happy to show that to you.
Sir, I just want, so you know, what we're here tonight to discuss is the massage parlor. A lot of the stuff you're bringing up right now, this is your time to speak, but is not part of the discussion. That's something that you don't want to contact the village hall about. Like, we're not here to talk
Okay.
about stuff being dumped in a pond, just so you know, just,
Am I allowed to bring up the fuel tank on her property?
you can bring, it's your time to speak. I
Okay.
just want you to know that what we're here tonight to discuss is this, and we have to take the facts and everything that are brought up with that. And we have to weigh things differently. Facts from
Okay,
opinion get
no,
weighed
yeah,
differently.
okay, I get that.
So
Okay,
I just want you to be, just so everybody knows what we're here to talk about tonight is this, and some of this stuff. I understand why you're bringing it up, but just so you know, or aware what we're here to, that we
okay.
have to consider.
Well, the next item. This relates to the question he asked about how many supplies they're getting. They're currently using the street as a loading dock, storing dirt, pavers, pine straw, whatever they have delivered is just stored out on the street. When they open this new business, are they now gonna store all that stuff out on the street? Are they gonna have semis coming in and dumping more stuff out on the street? Lastly, I already mentioned it, it's the underground fuel tank, the property. The person that owned the property before them let the property go into foreclosure because it was cheaper than removing the fuel tank. While the bank owned it, we checked the fuel level in the tank and it was still had a foot of fuel with. Their realtor and McNeil's were informed of this and the response was, well, we'll just cover it up. So they since have, they built a waterfall on top of it. They may tell you it's been removed, but if they do, I would ask to see the contractor's receipt for removing it. There should be certified soil reports verifying that all the contaminated soil has been removed. There should be record of where this hazardous fuel and material is being stored now because that all has to be trucked out and stored. So I'll stop venting and I'm just asking you to vote against this, because once you give her an open book on this, there's nothing to stop us on anything. She's got free reign to do anything once you give her this variance. If you say no, she's still probably gonna open it, but at least then we have something to go against. I'm just begging you not to allow her to open it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dawn Bowens. I live at N68 W26, 62-3 Wilderness Way. And this is in regards to the conditional use permit for Lisa McNeil. We feel that a commercial business is not a good fit for our street for the following reasons. Increased auto traffic on a road, which is a dead-end street. We don't want the traffic, and we want to know how this is going to be monitored. We feel already that there's a speeding issue in the subdivision. And to bring in more people will increase this problem. The road is used by not only the residents of this road, but other neighbors who walk their dogs, walk themselves. Children riding their bikes, learning how to ride their bikes. We have no sidewalks. This will cause a safety issue. Also a privacy issue. How is this going to be monitored? In the winter, it gets dark by 4. We have no streetlights on this road. There's a small hill and incline on the road, which will impede the traffic safety of the public. This is a subdivision that's zoned as such, and a commercial business could open the door for more to come. There's no way to monitor the traffic, which is supposed to be 4 per day, and there'll be more if there's employees. So a minimum of 10 trips, minimum, back and forth per day, plus the Airbnb. We don't have that much traffic now, and we don't want this in our subdivision or on our road. Thank you.
My name is Mike Singer. I live at North 68 West 26578 Wilderness Way. Thanks for your time this evening. I think a lot of what I have to cover has probably already been stated, so I apologize for the redundancy. But I have a number of questions or points to bring up. For starters, I'd be looking for explanation to some of the details of the cup specifically. For instance, what building is actually going to be used for the massage business? I'm asking because my understanding, as has already been mentioned, is that the building being suggested in the cup for the massage business is also currently being used as an Airbnb and has been for about the last 6 years. So my question is the Airbnb business being discontinued? Indications currently are otherwise, as the calendar, as someone already mentioned, appears to be taking reservations. In fact, along those same lines, the Airbnb business looks to be very well established. 20 plus clients in 2023, 20 plus clients in 2022, 19 in 2021. And as we all know, those are reviews. Not everybody submits a review, so I would guess that there are more clients there than we're seeing. Now, why is this relevant? 2 reasons. First, it appears that businesses are operating out of the same building. If so, that's confusing and suggests that some of the cup responses shared by the applicant misrepresent the actual conditions present on the property. Second, the massage business adds increased non-residential traffic volume to the Airbnb business that's already operating at the same address. The point is, the volume of Airbnb traffic already present is not being accounted for in any of the cup documents, thus creating an illusion of limited massage business traffic at that residence, when in fact, the traffic at that address would be significantly more when both businesses are accounted for. So my questions to the applicant would be, please clarify, is the Airbnb or tiny house, as the website describes it, going to continue to be renting to its existing client base? In other words, do we have 2 businesses operating out of one tiny house? Does this mean the Airbnb business is now going to offer massage services as well? Or is the massage business going to actually reside in the main dwelling? Again, I'm looking to clarify. I've seen pictures of the tiny house. It's not big, 10 by 30, that's fine. I'm wondering though how the business owners are planning to fit massage tables, massage chairs, a kitchen, a bed, a bathroom, and a shower all into the amount of space if both businesses are operating. I'm not sure how that's going to work. As already mentioned, there's an underground storage tank on premises. The cup says none exists. That needs to be clarified. The Airbnb website refers to on-street parking. Again, I'm not sure how that's going to be resolved because the cup applicant says street parking won't happen. Regarding business staffing, the cup application mentions a fill-in as needed and implies that no employees will be used. I'm curious as to what the village's definition of employee is. Are we talking W-2s or 1099? If I have 100 people staffing my business as contractors, I still have no employees. Similarly, the business owner suggests that they'll be traveling 4 to 5 months per year. How is staffing being addressed then? The cup implies 1 person. Who is this person? What's his or her background? Per the cup application, there are no product sales. However, the current business-based website in Brookfield offers online store offerings. So that needs to be clarified. Per the cup application, there are no dumpsters, waste containers on site. However, we know there's going to be trash. Maybe that's a simple garbage can in the residence. I don't know. That needs to be clarified. Regarding non-residential traffic, the proposal suggests that only 4 clients will be seen per day. That's 16 clients per week minimum. Please consider the following. Regarding our road on Wilderness Way, again, this is going to be repetitive. I apologize. We live on a dead-end cul-de-sac. There's only one way in, one way out. As such, exposure to traffic visiting this business doubles both in and out. The total length of the dead-end street is not long. It's only 200 yards or less. We have 9 homes with frontage on the road. At my count, those residences consist of 9 kids and grandkids and 6 dogs. Many of these kids are catching school buses during the core business hours proposed in the cup. thus exposing themselves to greater than normal traffic risk. The intersection of Thousand Oaks and Wilderness Way is somewhat treacherous. While leaving Wilderness Way to access Thousand Oaks, the drivers are forced to deal with blind spots in both directions because the road bends. It's like a horseshoe. Okay. People unfamiliar with the road won't be aware of this problem, thus increasing the likelihood of accidents. The proposed traffic volume of 16 cited in the CUP for new business is based on what data? That would be my question. Are these just best guesses? What study, if any, backs this number up? As previously mentioned, we're assuming the existing Airbnb continues with traffic on weekends and weekdays. The cumulative effect of the new and old businesses will increase traffic to an unsafe level. It certainly won't decrease it. Additional factors that need consideration. What about deliveries of business-related equipment or supplies? That includes cleaning, sanitizing oils, stones, CBD, et cetera. They're all used by massage businesses. This is all additional non-residential traffic. What about laundry services or for massage towels, linens, et cetera? Again, this is non-increased residential traffic, but that's going to be a business item that needs to be addressed. What about the physical move and relocation of the existing businesses to the site? What does that involve? What about the ongoing construction and landscape work? Currently, heavy trucks dumping dirt and gravel in the cul-de-sacs are routine visitors. Will that stop? What about customer parking? We're suggesting, or they're suggesting 3 spots will cover it. I'm not sure, as I mentioned, that will be the case. What about weather-related snow removal? What's the impact on parking there? Don't know. One final thought about traffic. As any business person knows, even retired ones, businesses are always looking for opportunities to grow. As such, I find it hard to believe that the business owner won't be marketing and promoting their services beyond word of mouth. In fact, what assurances do we have as homeowners that the client number is limited to only 16 per week? Frankly speaking, I believe the number of 16 clients per week could be significantly more, resulting in more traffic concerns. The bottom line on this CUP application is we currently live in a residential neighborhood. We moved into this area to be away from the city, away from the traffic, away from the businesses. We enjoy our somewhat rural setting. Many of us have children and grandchildren that utilize this cul-de-sac for bikes, walking dogs, playing catch, etc. In my opinion, approving this business will increase residential neighborhood traffic involving people unfamiliar with the environment and the roads. It'll decrease our children's safety. I mean, who are the business clients anyway? We don't know that. With a minimum of 16 new faces showing up every week, how safe are we, really? Approving this business can only decrease our property values. Who wants to live next to a business? I don't. Approving this business can only increase our personal liability and decrease the safety of the families around the business. In conclusion, and again, thank you for your time, it's important to remember that according to the Village of Lisbon's own zoning ordinance guidelines, these ordinances exist for, and I quote, for the purpose of protecting and promoting the public health, safety, convenience, prosperity, aesthetics, and general welfare of the community, end quote. In my opinion, the proposed business operating in our residential neighborhood as described in the CUP does not accomplish the above stated goals and therefore should not be approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Terry Brecklin. My address is W266 N6888 Thousand Oaks Drive. I'm going to speak, rather than repeating things that other speakers have spoken about, I would like to reference Chapter 11, Town of Lisbon zoning ordinance. I think there are parts of it that capture what some of our concerns are. And on page 93 of the ordinance, it talks about the Plan Commission having the capacity to deny a conditional use permit. And there are 4 bulleted points that are mentioned. The last 2, I think, are particularly pertinent. One is for any other reason, cause a substantially adverse effect on property values. Now, as a resident of the subdivision, I'm certainly concerned about thinking about in the future selling my home, potential buyers coming into the neighborhood, driving the neighborhood and seeing a possibly robust business, including a sandwich board sign at the front of the driveway. And I think that sends a negative message in terms of thinking about property values, not only for our property, but also for all the properties in the cul-de-sac, as well as those in the entire Thousand Oaks subdivision. The other point is the last bullet point on page 93, and it references the concern that this may be inharmonious with the area in which it is to be located. And I would there again underline the comments made by other residents is that it seems that this particular business located at the end of a cul-de-sac without access to a busy road such as Highway VV, it appears to me that it is inharmonious with the area in which it is located. We are a residential subdivision. And it seems to me that based on the points I just made, that this seems to counter that intention that was placed by the board many, many years ago. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chris Schmidt. I live at W265 N6932 Thousand Oaks Drive. To put that in perspective, I'm directly across the pond / retainage pond from Lisa. As a father with 4 kids, I am against having this business in my backyard. I'm already staring at random people on a regular basis out my kitchen door for the Airbnb, using the pond to fish and other activities. I really do not want to see other people back there, especially with my young kids playing back there. I have questions as far as my kids. They're loud, they're 3, they're all under 10. They run around and play, make lots of noise. I'm not sure how that was going to work for a massage parlor where you're starting to relax. And I've got lots of kids running around and screaming. I don't want them being seen by random people that I don't know in the backyard. It's a thing that I think also lessens my property value, and it's not something I want to be around. I also chose to live in Thousand Oaks because I like the size of the yards, and because I like I like being away from businesses and from other people. And this is just adding lots more people into an area I consider private, which is my backyard. So for those reasons, I'm against the proposed business, and I would ask that you deny it. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak? With anyone on Zoom?
If anyone on Zoom would like to make a comment, please use the raise hand function. No hands raised on Zoom.
My name is Melissa Graff. I live at W266 N6951 Thousand Oaks Drive. I just have a couple of questions. My first question would be, does this business already exist somewhere else? And why would it be moving to a residential area if it already exists somewhere else? And my second question would be, if you do allow her to create this massage physical therapy as a limited family business, which I believe I heard you say that could be family members only plus 1 additional person. What do we do if we find out she has 4 or 5 other employees? Can we come back to the commission and will you revoke her permit? And she would have to close the business, or we're stuck once you already administer that permission? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? I've got 2 email comments here. To the Lisbon Board / Zoning Commission, I'm writing this letter in opposition to the request by Lisa Neal to operate a massage and physical therapy business out of the home at North 68 West 26510 Wilderness Way. I am unable to attend the meeting March 27th because I do not drive at night. I hope you will take the concerns addressed in this email when considering the request to operate a business with clientele out of the house. I have lived on this quiet residential cul-de-sac street for 47 years. The street has very limited traffic with only neighbors and occasional guests going in and out. I'm concerned with the additional traffic a home business with clientele would create. I walk and ride my bike on the street and kids ride their bikes and play in the cul-de-sac where this home business entrance would be. I am concerned for my own safety as an elderly woman, my grandchildren who visit, and all the children who live on this street and play. Since this is not a through street, if there are 1 to 2 appointments per hour, this could be an increase of 32 plus cars daily driving down the street. If this business has employees, this could be far greater. This is a residential neighborhood, not a business neighborhood park. Approving this for one home opens the door to anyone on the street who may want to run another home business with customers, hair salons, daycares, counseling. The sky is the limit. Businesses with clientele should be operating in areas zoned for business with proper parking lots, not in a family neighborhood. Please consider the safety of myself and other families who live on the street and in the subdivision. Let's keep subdivisions residential as they were meant to be. Sincerely, Vicky Taves. And then to whom may concern, though I appreciate the entrepreneurship spirit shown by Ms. McNeil, I have a couple of concerns regarding operating a business in a residential neighborhood. The increase in car traffic disturbs walkers and children playing in the area. This is especially evident at the entrance of the neighborhood, which is home to at least a couple families with young children. Disgruntled customers causing trouble that will disturb the peace of Ms. McNeil's home and our neighbors' homes. Neighbors will become collateral. This is a serious possibility that any customer has the ability to cause chaos and property damage in the case of an unsatisfactory service. 3, the possibility for customers who may inform others to case the neighborhood for crime in the future. Thousand Oaks is a quiet and safe neighborhood for families that does not need such potential disturbances for others. There's reason people conduct business in a venue outside their homes, especially in this day and age when there is mental health crisis going on in the country. Would seriously like the village to consider these risks when voting on a decision. Catherine Colucci, I think is how you pronounce her name. And I do not have an address on that one. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in this public hearing at this moment? See anyone else in Zoom?
No hands raised on Zoom.
Then, the applicant would like to come on up.
Thank you for letting me answer. I'm a structural integrationist
Could you
licensed.
state your name and
I'm
address?
sorry, Lisa McNeil. I am the CUP applicant. I'm a structural integrationist licensed by the state of Wisconsin as a massage therapist for 13 years. My license is in good standing with the state. In 2023, I was appointed by the governor to sit on the massage therapy board and further assigned to work with a team of attorneys with disciplinary cases involving licensed and those unlicensed practicing body work. I've worked in 5 countries, 13 states with elite athletes in professional sports and representing the United States at sanctioned Olympic events. The clients from Madison, Chicago, Green Bay, and Lake Country area regularly seek me for treatment and include not only elite athletes, but also C-suite, political figures, and retired business owners. My transition from owning a large clinic in Brookfield to retirement requires a transition from my current situation with a conditional use permit. And a conditional use permit will allow me to make that transition into retirement. There has never been clients seen at my home as of to date. There would be no employees on the premises. The only people that would be at the place of business would be myself and clients. If I'm traveling, there would be a physical therapist that would come in and see my clients in lieu of me. As far as traffic concerns, I currently see clients in my treatment room and I have signed contracted sites. This will continue, which means I only see a maximum of 15 clients at my local treatment clinic right now. Due to the nature of my work, I do not see more than 4 clients per day in any scheduled, and I do not see more than 4 clients per day, and each scheduled session has a minimum of a 30-minute lead time between to allow for client confidentiality and to prepare the room for the next session. Traffic will be a minimum. As for the pond concerns, we have had boundary issues with some of our neighbors, which have provoked having the attached survey completed, many conversations and emails with Dan Green in the past, Waukesha County Planning and Zoning, the DNR, and a real estate attorney. Our neighbors are not happy with some of the outcomes. I do not believe that this should be considered for the issuance of the conditional use permit for Momentum or Lisa McNeil, and it is not an agenda item. As far as the Airbnb, Sussex and Waukesha County have been receiving all applicable occupancy taxes since 2019. It has been collected and reported by Airbnb. The Novitsky household has been reporting and paying income tax. I do not believe that this is I do not believe that this should be considered as an issuance for the conditional use permit for Momentum or Lisa McNeil. The Airbnb that is currently operating within the tiny house would no longer exist because the clinic massage therapy practice would take over that space. As far as the landscaping projects, my husband and I accumulated this property that was highly dilapidated and very neglected. And we spent the first 5 years of it renovating the entire inside, and we have been tirelessly renovating the outside to not only make it more pleasing for us, but also our neighbors. And all of the storage on the cul-de-sac has been approved by the Department of Public Works in Lisbon. There is no deliveries that are coming into or out of other than Amazon, and Amazon is in our cul-de-sac very often. I do have a washing machine, so there will be no laundry service. This is our final year for landscaping projects, and all construction, we pray, will be done. There are no employees other than Lisa McNeil who resides at the premises. Moving the manual therapy practice with the approval of the CUP will allow Lisa McNeil to continue working to earn a living while she approaches and enjoys retirement. This CUP request does not violate any zoning or ordinances and is in line with the limited family business provision, and I appreciate your consideration. Are there any other questions that I did not address?
So you are operating an Airbnb.
We are.
That's a business.
It is, but when we started the Airbnb, we called Sussex.
Not
Granted, I understand that, but at that time, we thought that we were Sussex. So we talked to Sussex and they said we didn't, as long as there was no stays over 21 days, then it was okay. And so that's why we listed Sussex as the collection of occupancy taxes.
So staff's opinion on an Airbnb being a business.
Well, Airbnbs are normally allowed in the residence of a house, so that's protected under state law to some extent, based on time, like you said, but operating an Airbnb in a separate house altogether or separate building altogether isn't something that's permitted.
And we're fine with doing away with that. It's honestly, the Airbnb was strictly for us to be able to earn money to do the renovations and the landscaping and everything to the property. It serves no purpose for us for other than that, and we honestly do not want to have it.
So it stops.
Yes,
I mean, now,
that's fine.
And I think the point that's being made is that it's been illegally run
right?
on the property for 6 years or plus years that's been there. So if it was in your house, that would be one thing. It's in a separate building altogether.
Okay.
So that's been illegal.
And now that we know that it has been illegal, we will definitely stop all activity with the Airbnb.
What is this fuel tank that's on the property?
We actually don't know. They claim that we know, our realtor didn't know, nobody knew. All we had is our neighbor adjacent to us. The Griswolds mentioned it, but nobody has even pointed it out to us in our extensive landscaping and stuff with it has not been found. Our next big project is redoing the driveway, and even the contractor who's redoing the driveway hasn't found anything. And they did a survey of the property to start the driveway project in October.
You did not intentionally cover a tank with any kind of
No.
landscaping?
No.
Were there, in terms of the landscaping and the grading back, were there permits obtained for that?
So everything's been done with the contractor. So the waterfall was done with the contractor, all the retaining walls have been done with the contractor. Currently, we're having, the pool was excavated with a contractor. We paid our contractors. I don't know.
Permits that you're aware of, Brian?
So when did you realize you weren't in Sussex and you were in Lisbon?
Um,
Mike.
So when did you realize that you weren't in Sussex and that you were now in Lisbon?
well, so we knew that we were in both, we thought we were in both is what it was. We had talked to you several times about different building permits for different projects. In fact, you came out to the property a couple of times and
Oh, go ahead.
And that's when we learned that and the reason for the cup is that's when we learned that we needed to start going through Lisbon for everything instead of calling Sussex.
I do remember coming out there for, it was for a service upgrade
Mm-hmm.
and under the, where's my notes here? So under the previous owner, I'm sorry, under you, excuse me, McNeil. I was out there for a furnace and air conditioner
Mm-hmm.
and I was out there for a service upgrade. And I was out there with the previous owner under replacement windows. I don't remember talking about any permitting because that would not have been allowed in Lisbon, your Airbnb. The guest houses are allowed actually, but with a conditional use.
So the guest house, we never spoke to you about a guest
Okay,
house.
I just want to make
No.
that clear.
Not at all.
All
No.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
In fact, you even wrote a statement for us because we had to sue one of our contractors because they said that they pulled a permit and that you approved the final inspection. I got an email on everything.
refresh my memory maybe after the meeting because I
Yep.
don't remember.
Yep.
But in terms of the grading and the moving in the dirt, has that been permitted?
Traffic has been a concern
Mhm.
by the neighbors. So can you speak to that?
Right now I see 4 clients a day when I'm in the clinic. I'm in the clinic Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, Tuesday, Thursday. I have contracted off-site sites, so I'm not in the clinic per se. So it would remain the same with the conditional use permit.
So one car every 2 hours or one car every hour?
One car usually every hour and 15 or in 30 minutes, depending on how long. Some sessions are an hour and a half, 2 hours. Some sessions are 30 minutes. It just depends on what's scheduled. There is 30-minute buffer between clients for confidentiality and to prep the room. Many of my clients, I have to sign an NDA, so I have a large gap between them.
Parking?
So parking, I did attach a plat survey and then show where in front of the shop. There's 2 parking places and then in front of the shop, there's an additional, which is excessive because there would never be more than 1 client there at any given time.
Spoke earlier that you'd be the only employee, but then you spoke of somebody else potentially coming in.
Only when I'm traveling.
So there would be one other employee,
Well, not another, that would be the only one on site.
but it's not at a time, it's employees, period.
Yeah, she's,
So
well,
it's
and
2.
she's not even an employee, it's a per diem. So she comes in when I'm traveling and she sees clients that week and it's not a W-2, it's through like a staffing site.
How does that fit in with our?
It's pretty, the language in the conditional use is fairly loose. It's the owner plus another employee. I think that would be considered an employee if they're working in favor of the business or, you know, forwarding. the business in some
Representing the
way,
business.
Representing the business.
Yeah.
yes.
I'm not interested if it's a W-2 or 1099. It's just they are operating under your name.
Yeah, they're representing Momentum.
There was a couple questions related to what, you know, if there's more than 4 clients per day, or they're operating in a way that isn't approved by the conditional use permit, what would happen in those cases? And essentially what would happen is someone would bring it to the village's attention that it was outside of the conditional use permit. It would be investigated as a violation, you know, a letter would go out, et cetera, et cetera. And as part of the issuance of a conditional use permit, after it's investigated, if it's not rectified, the village through public hearing process would have the option to remove the conditional use permit from the property.
What is the proving? Because due to some of the boundary issues that I very briefly hit on, there is animosity between some of the neighbors. And so I see vindictiveness just trying to get the conditional use permit revoked if it is approved. So what is the burden of proof, I guess, is what I'm asking. Are you going to take my schedule, or are you going to take their word in pictures and videos?
Well, the normal process is on a complaint, they investigate the complaint to see whether they have enough information, you know, to prove a violation. I can't tell you. I mean, some places they take video. I have one right now where they've had cameras up for months watching all the activity of the business of a place that the person purports not to be a business. I think the cameras have clearly proven otherwise. So they can take pictures of all your people coming and going and filing liens. And if there's more than 4, they can contact those people. They have the right to do all of that. It's not them, either the building inspector or the police. If there's a complaint filed, it'll be investigated and determination will be made whether it's a viable complaint or not.
Okay.
Questions from the commission?
Does your business require a business license from either the village or the state? I know that you said that you personally are licensed, but does the business require a state license?
No. So it depends on the municipality. Right now, I have a business license in the town of Brookfield. So and that's what provoked this is I called the town hall and asked or the village hall, and I asked them, what do I need to do? Do I need to get a permit? What do I need to do? And that's when Elisa said that I needed to file for a conditional use permit. Yep.
So you are not required to get a license for the business from the state?
No.
Okay, the next question I have is, we're talking about this quote unquote little house where you're saying that you're gonna have your operation. There's the main building is, where's your garage?
The garage is, if you look at the pictures, the garage is in our house.
Okay, so it's in the house.
Yes, it's included in the
What's
house.
Other building there.
We call it the shop. I don't know. I think the previous owners had his boat parked in there. We call it the shop.
You don't use that as a garage?
No.
Okay. I had one more question.
And then the tiny house was a pool house, but we got rid of the pool, so we thought it's silly to call it a pool house. Correct.
And you have all the amenities in that pool house, little house, whatever you want to call it. I mean, you've got a bathroom, you've got electric and.
Yes, I have a treatment area, and then there's a bathroom in there. And on the back side of it is all the mechanicals for that building.
That's all I have right now.
I got a question on the, as you call it, the pool house. Was that there when you bought the property, or did you build that?
It was there when we bought the property.
Okay. And did you put upgrades in there?
No, well, the only upgrades that we did was like drywall and flooring, and we put a new toilet in.
So there was already plumbing and
Yep.
electric and HVAC and all that was in there.
There's no HVAC in there. There's a window unit air conditioner
So how do you plan to heat it in the winter?
with a space heater. It's not very big. It's 270, 290 square feet. It's
Um,
really small.
My other question was, you mentioned that you're in clinic just Monday, Wednesday and Friday. and you
Correct.
Travel Tuesday, but you're asking for operating hours Monday through Friday. In your
Correct.
application. So will that
Because,
be changing to 5 days a week in clinic versus 3 days a week? in
because
clinic?
I can't guarantee when I'm gonna have what contracts I'm going to have next year.
I was just trying to.
That's one
clarify
reason
for
why I put
traffic
Monday through Friday. Right now, it's not Monday through Friday, but it could be Monday through Friday. So it's more for making sure that the whole totality of possibility was there.
And I had a question in Foth's summary, on page 2. There's a reference that the subject property doesn't meet the area requirement to be located. That no guest house is allowed unless the lot which the guest house is located is at least double the minimum area. Is that stating that the lot requirement is not met?
Are you referring to the bottom of page 2, the last
Under guest houses, and number 5.
number 5? Oh, I see.
Towards the bottom of that second paragraph.
Sorry, I'm looking at page 2. I'm not seeing number 5.
Page 2 of the staff review.
Okay.
Sherry, are you looking at the site plan of operation review or the CUP review?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. It's the other one.
It's also stated in the bottom of page 2, as far as I think what you're talking about, Sherry, is on the conditional use right up by staff. On the bottom of page 2, is that what you're also referring to?
So it's my understanding that the condition says that the business shall not operate on a parcel having less than the minimum parcel size required for the district in which it's located. So the parcel has to be a conforming lot for the district, so per the R1 district. And so it's my understanding that it does meet the requirement because it requires 1 acre. This parcel is 1.14
Okay, I just
acres.
wanted to clarify that one comment.
Okay.
I apologize, I'm looking at the wrong
Nope,
form.
gotcha.
Anything else you shared?
Comments were all on the other one.
Ron?
Mr. Chairman, President, the former commissioner, the former question by the commissioner dealt with the guest house versus the rental. And guest house are allowed and the property has to be twice as big. And they're very restrictive use. You can't rent it out. If you have a guest house, it's occasional. I don't have the language right in front of me, but it's occasional uses,
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, is the most, and you can't, it's gotta be for family members.
Family members only. So this is clearly an illegal use for, sounds like 6 years. It's amazing to me that this could go on this long. And I think as long as we're talking about this, I think the staff, once we heard about this yesterday, we briefly chatted about, they're gonna have to come in and prove that all of the work that's been done has been properly permitted and properly done for all of the buildings. You know, that's just a given because it says right in our standard conditional use. So I just want to put them on notice and the neighbors on notice that all of the work that's been done over all of these years has to be checked. They're gonna have to prove that pool house had the plumbing and had all the walls and everything that they have in there now was in there when it was a legal pool house.
Well, I just can't, and I'm speaking probably out of ignorance, but I'm concerned that whether you call it a guest house or a rental house or a bread and breakfast or whatever, that it doesn't have HVAC in it and that's allowed. I mean, I don't profess to be,
Was never permitted, so.
Never allowed anyway.
But there's no code that requires you to have air conditioning or, I mean, we've got that Pike Lake up in Washington County. They have those little huts. There's a name for them and I don't know that they have heating or air conditioning in them and they rent them out in the park. You know, so I don't think that's an issue. It's an issue of what's been done other than the rental illegally. That's a concern of the staff.
This is something that staff would recommend to get checked out before we proceeded.
Well, there's certain, you may decide that you want to have some of this checked, but it certainly would be a condition.
The property, in order to issue a conditional use permit, the rest of the property needs to be in compliance regardless. So it doesn't sound like it is.
I'm not only concerned about the physical building we're talking about, I'm talking about the site also. Has any of the grading or the work that's been done or being done, is that properly permitted before we compound the problems by allowing something else to happen?
Well, I think, Mr. Everly, that's what the president is, will be asking you at some point, whether you're gonna adjourn it and have the staff do the research on what permits were pulled, which permits weren't pulled, which permits should have been pulled. You know,
Okay.
we don't know. She said she got and I'm paraphrasing, and I'm sorry I didn't write down the words, but she admitted that they bought a distressed property and they did a lot of work on it. I don't know what permits were pulled for that work.
Thank you.
There was one other question, if I could, Kathy, if you keep your thought, and I thought it was a really important question. We haven't answered it. It's a question of the commission. And one of the, I think may have been the first gentleman said, do we listen to what the neighbors have to say? And the answer is obviously, but there is laws and they have rights and you have rights. But obviously the board listens very closely. I don't want to speak for the board, but you were asked that question. And I think this is a very conscientious board and they do listen very closely. But there are limits to what, you know, of the information that they gave them that they can use or can't use. But we wouldn't have known about the Airbnb at all if it hadn't been for the neighbors. And I certainly will be contacting Sussex in the morning to find out if they ever got any taxes that maybe Lisbon is owed because illegal activity. Can't believe they're accepting, I don't know of any Airbnbs that operate in Sussex, let alone, so if they're getting taxes. As some of you know, I've been the attorney there since '79, so I might have heard about it at some point. If there's.
Do you currently have people renting or whatever the proper term is?
No, not right. No, it is what we call seasonal. So it's the end of May through the middle of October.
Well, are you physically booking clients for that?
We have everything on hold because of the conditional use permit. Because
So
we don't,
You're not actively advertising that as a bread and breakfast right now, today.
Airbnb, no, I notified Airbnb that we were going to stop it.
Have you stopped it?
I can reserve right now.
It's on the internet. I just checked.
I can
Everything's
literally
booked for-
reserve a room right now.
It's been booked for months. It looks like it's booked for months and months and months.
It's not booked for months and months and months. If you could see my side of the,
You've crossed
the
those
dash-
off.
yes,
I am-
I've crossed those off so that it is not bookable.
Thank you for that clarification. That's helpful.
Thank you for your answer.
But I want the residents to know that, yes, they've always taken the residents' comments very seriously. I mean.
And I was gonna speak-
Want to speak to that.
I was gonna speak to that once we were kind of.
Well, and I would like to
Hold on,
also
hold on,
bring,
Hold on. So when we receive comments, the commission has to weigh them. There's opinion and there's facts. A lot of people come in and say, I think this, I think that. That's weighed one way. Coming in and saying, okay, I've witnessed this, and this happening, and here's my evidence that this has happened, and here's why I believe this would be that, and having supporting evidence behind those comments. That is weighed differently, and it makes it very tough because this commission, there's a lot of times where you look at things like, oh, I wouldn't want that either, but they meet the criteria for the law. We're required to approve it at that point. It's not a matter of emotion, it's a matter of fact. So it's some things that seem so clear, sometimes the law has to back that up. So just so everybody's aware of that also. So go ahead.
I was just going to say that in everything that we have been doing, we have not had complaints from any of our neighbors, other than the property line disputes and the disputes over the pond. So in all fairness, we didn't know that some of this was an issue with them. And we would have appreciated communication. In fact, we have tried emailing them on numerous times about different projects that we're doing landscaping wise and getting zero response. So actually, I'm very thankful that they spoke up here. I think that some of this could have been prevented or explained and talked about prior to this meeting.
What year was the property line dispute?
Oh, the property line dispute started in 2018.
So you spoke to a Dan Green?
I did.
So that was Lisbon. He was our employee.
Oh,
So. There's a lot of inconsistencies going on here. Like
I-
you would talk to Dan Green about a property line dispute, but you would talk to Sussex about an Airbnb. I mean, you seem like a very intelligent lady.
I like to think that I am, but yes, I'm not going to make any excuses or anything like that, but yes, that is what I did.
Yep.
Okay. So, do you have to do any construction in your site, or have you been doing any construction in the where you're going to do your massage therapy?
No,
So, to remove the kitchen or, are you removing the bedroom,
it's a bed. It's not a bedroom. It's literally
an open
an
concept?
open, yeah. And I measured and my treatment table will fit just fine.
So
The
you're
most,
removing the bed?
pardon me?
Are you removing the bed?
Yes.
Okay, because that would keep it from being a Airbnb if you
Well,
don't have a
and-
bed in there.
Correct. And there's no way in the amount of space that I could actually treat a client.
Do you have a pump that runs into the pond for your waterfall?
Yes.
Okay, did you get that approved by the other neighbors that,
The pump is on our property.
but how do you get the water out of
The pump is on our property. Our property line goes into the pond.
those are my three. Thank you.
Sean, turn on your mic, please.
Okay. Is that better? Okay.
Yep.
Is there any clarification for the use of a space heater in a business as a sole thing of heat in terms of fire code?
That would be Brian.
In regular commercial, no, you can't use a space heater with an extension cord. You have to have something built in. Not sure how to handle this one, though. This isn't really a commercial property. I think it's a great idea, but I don't know. I'd have to look into it further to see what's enforceable and what isn't.
One last thing. Do you have receipts for those taxes that you paid Sussex? 'Cause I'd like to collect them from
Airbnb should,
Sussex.
they collected them and they were the ones dispersing it. We didn't handle any money. Other than what they took from us or took from them. They took all the taxes, paid all the taxes,
So,
took all their fees.
so how do you know that they collected taxes or
They-
paid taxes?
They told us and it's on
They-
the guests' invoices.
They
I,
don't give you anything at the end of the year to show the
No.
taxes that were paid on your property?
no, because it's paid on the visit, the night. They collected the money and then we're like a contractor for them.
Comments from the commission?
I just had a question, but it's not really with regard to the CUP, I don't think, but on Kathy's comment about the pump water discharging into the pond. One of the other residents, I believe, said that's a retention pond, so can they pump water into a stormwater?
It's not a stormwater retention pond. If you check with the DNR, it is actually a naturally occurring pond.
Hey,
Yes, it
hey,
is.
hey. You will be given an opportunity. Right now, we're just gonna keep it up.
So I guess that was my question is, can you unrelated to this, but since it was brought up, if that's allowable.
I have no idea.
What's on the plan?
I did have another question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
You provided some photographs with your application of the
Correct.
exterior. Was there any reason you didn't provide photographs of the interior?
No, I was just asked to give pictures of the exterior. They thought it would be a good idea. And right now it's filled up with all of our storage stuff. There's nothing to see.
Well, at this time, we'll reopen it up for public comment. Anyone else wish to make any more comments?
Teresa Nelson, N95 W25850 Riverview Drive. I don't have a horse in this race. I'm not familiar with the property, but I am a safety professional, and it's not just building codes, it's also OSHA. That you can't use a space heater to heat a business. The other thing that I noticed is that she's doing massage therapy or physical therapy. Those are considered under Wisconsin's workers' compensation statute. She's considered to be a healthcare provider. And I don't know the details because I am not one, but I imagine the state has regulations on where you can provide healthcare to people that would regulate such things as you need to have heat in winter in Wisconsin. I'm just guessing. So I don't know if you want to make her look that up and get back to you, might be something you'd want to consider.
Thank you. Does anyone else?
Make it quick, because this
Thank
has
you.
been
I
a,
can have-
James enters, ENTERS. Make it quick, because it's been a long meeting. I want to clarify the question that I initially had. This was not directed at you all, it was directed at the applicant. Does your neighbor's disapproval of the plans influence your decision on whether you're gonna go through with this application? I think that's important. And she also insinuated that we're attacking her. We don't want to attack her at all. We're just gathering facts. We really want to nurture healthy relationships with neighbors. And then a couple of follow-up things. You guys covered just about all of them, all the major red flags. But I think it's kind of wrapping things up. I think the public interest severely outweighs the individual interest of the business. Thank you.
Anyone on Zoom? I know.
If anyone has comments they wish to make on Zoom, please use the raise hand function. No hands raised.
Anyone else here?
And other neighbors sent emails, as well that want me to make it.
So this is the public hearing right now. So if the public hearing were to be closed tonight, this would be the end of the testimony. Now, if the public hearing were held open, that would be different. So we'll know that in a little while here. Okay, does anyone else wish?
I would just like to.
Oh, come on up.
I would like to.
Just wait till you're up here, though.
Terry Brecklin. I just want to repeat two comments I made earlier about the potential impact on property values in our subdivision, particularly the immediate area, and also the fact that this proposal seems to be incongruous with an R1 residential development.
I don't usually do this back and forth like this, but I'm gonna say, so this is one of those things I was talking about earlier, where there's opinion and then there's fact. Do you have any evidence to support what you're saying?
I'm just going on what was written in the document published by the town of Lisbon.
Okay, thanks. Does anyone else wish to speak?
I have one more question. So the garage, the existing detached garage. So you have the pool house and the existing detached garage.
That is not a garage, it's a shop.
Okay.
The garage for our residents is in our house.
So you don't plan on changing the shop into an Airbnb?
No.
Okay.
No, there will be no Airbnb on the property ever again.
That's all I had. Beside the question.
One more question. Is there one entrance and exit for this house, or is it just one entrance exit, or is there another back door, or is there?
One entrance, one exit.
That makes it compliant with fire, fire safety for a business, correct?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
If, the reason why is with the space heater, and I'm just kind of focusing on that, that there is an entrance and exit, so in the, for meeting fire code, if this was if a business, that would be compliant, yes or no?
If there's an entrance and an exit, is that your question?
Yeah.
Just one entrance exit as opposed to multiple entrances and exits for business.
It should probably have two exits, but like I said, this isn't your typical commercial
Right.
property. Although I'm gonna check with the state inspector and get some answers on that, because I'm not sure how to enforce a limited liability commercial property, because it's not exactly the same. So I'm gonna have to do some research. Because I don't want to give an answer that's not true. The reason I showed you this, Mr. Chair, is it just simply says pond, it doesn't say storm retention pond. It has a high water elevation and it has a low water elevation. Typically, a retention pond doesn't have those elevations because it can dry up. This one must stay naturally wet all the time. This is the original
What year is
plat.
this from?
There's no surveyor stamp on there at all. Data.
Pretty old.
I don't know what year it is.
San Diego.
The only other question I had was, he's looking at that is, do we address the grading? They did a lot of landscaping. Do we address that, or is this the wrong time to do it?
I guess it was my understanding that we need to investigate whether or not there were permits issued for that, and if there's not, they has to be permitted and in compliance. Like everything else, before we be able to act on the conditional use permit.
That's gonna be the question to discuss here now. What does the commission want to do here? Do we want to? Because if we close the public hearing, obviously it's just gonna be a yay or nay vote at that point, but otherwise we could ask for more evidence, obviously finding out the property is in compliance, which is a big one.
I would be in favor of adjourning this to a future date. And to allow the village to obtain some information that was the questions that were brought up tonight.
So just to be clear, I mean, so we're gonna be looking at whether or not asking whether it's permitted and in compliance. Those are the main things we're looking at.
Correct, and also to look into the specifics as far as whether or not that. I guess I've got two questions. What you just said, Joe, whether or not that building is compliant for the use intended. And number three is, I still question whether or not the business needs a license from the state in addition to the applicant's individual license. Because I know, as an example, most business professions, you require the people doing the work to be licensed. It also requires the business to be licensed. And I think we need to investigate that.
There was some verbal testimony given of a fuel oil, I believe it was fuel oil tank that's on the property. Do we have any way to know whether or not
Could
that
do
is?
is to look up on the old DADCAP site to see if it's listed under that property. That's the only way I know of how to do it.
And Joe, with the compliant for the building compliance, would that include also the space heater and heating and fire safety?
All what needs to be in that building to be able to be used for the use requested? Whether it's HVAC, electrical, plumbing,
Answer the questions.
yes.
Is that enough directions for staff? John, I'm comfortable.
Well, I have a couple others. Is it allowed to discharge water into the pond? Can she operate a healthcare operation in the tiny house? If neighbors are opposed, would she withdraw her request? We can't answer that one. One exit, one entrance, you know, to the tiny house. I mean, a lot of these tie into, can it even operate in this building? And then if so, does it need a license? Status of the tank, I suppose the neighbors can contact the administrator with any additional information. That's not really ex parte. We're investigating just like the, you know, and we're gonna bring that back and put it in the record, but if we don't find anything in the public record.
Just to be clear, anyone that has has to contact staff, do not, at this point, you can't contact us outside of a public hearing. You have to contact staff, just to be clear.
And that's the administrator.
Mhm.
Don't contact the planner and it all goes through the administrator.
Last question, obviously, the Resident Act had asked was, in their opinion, they don't want this. And does that affect you in moving forward with this?
I think that it would take a sit-down conversation with them because I think that they don't fully understand that it's really being done for me to slow down and go into retirement.
That's between you and them. That's the
Correct,
basis.
correct. And that's, so I can't answer that. I'd rather sit down with them and actually have a conversation outside of a place like this.
We understand everything we've talked about here and the things we want to get clarified.
Yes, sir.
And I would make a motion to adjourn this to a. Okay, go
You
ahead.
said, in your application, you said there's no employee, and we just said that the person that's gonna be coming in, although you're not paying her by a W-2 or 1099, she would have to be considered an employee.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, I would make a motion to adjourn the public hearing to May. And the reason we need to do it to May because of notice requirements for the next time we open the public hearing again. So it'd have to be May. of
Yep,
this
hold on,
year.
let me get the date.
Date, time and certain.
Would be Wednesday, May 22nd at 6:30 PM.
Is that your motion, Joe?
Yes.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Sean. There's no discussion on this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. All right.
Mr. President, can we just clarify that because it's being adjourned to a date certain, a second round of public hearing notices will not be sent to surrounding property owners?
Be no other notification at this time. Your notification is what you receive now. It will be on a future meeting agenda, which will be in May,
May 22nd at 6 P M.
6:30.
6:30, right here. So that is the date, time and certain. Okay. That'll move on to public hearing number 2. Is everybody sticking around for public hearing number 2? If not, I'll give you a moment to.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, we'll move into public hearing number 2. Request by Ron Subidi and Gary Nybauer. Hey. Party Time Golf and Sports Bar for conditional use for a restaurant / tavern use in the B2 local business zoning district for the property located at North 95 West 25901 County Road Q, LSBT 0158.994.011. Applicant is here.
So it's my understanding that this is the second, this is adjourned to today. This was discussed as part of a public hearing last month, correct? So reading the minutes and talking to Warren, your usual planner, it was my understanding that the remaining issues surrounding this, or some of the outstanding things there's three things. One of them was, back in 2006, when the property was rezoned at the time, were there any conditions put on the property that would prohibit a bar and a restaurant from being on the property? Two, whether a restaurant license was needed as part of this, and if so, what kind of restaurant license? And I think the third one was establishment of a landscaping plan to establish some landscaping behind the units between the intended use and then the residential to the south. Even though that there's a existing 6-foot fence back there, there's still a requirement for the landscaping. So with that said, I think what was found out regarding the rezoning back in 2006, there was correspondence with Waukesha County, who let us know that at the time, the Town of Lisbon Board of Supervisors approved the amendment for the zoning. And at the time, the county had to approve the zoning as well, subject to the written and verbal comments of the town engineer, that any restaurant or bar would require a conditional use permit approved by the Plan Commission and Board. So it wasn't prohibited, it was required for a conditional use permit. So that's what we were told from Waukesha County at the time.
Sean, can I just add that I do have the meeting minutes from those approvals that.
Is that
state that-
consistent? Okay,
Correct.
thank you. The second was the restaurant license, and I don't have the answer to which type of restaurant license is needed. If this is approved, it is a condition of approval that they'd be obtaining a restaurant license from Waukesha County Department of Health, whatever that license may be for the intended use. And then, as you can see on the overhead, this is the landscape plan. And so the petitioner is proposing landscaping from the west end of the building all the way to the end of the units that are being occupied. There's essentially 8 juniper trees that would be planted at a minimum of 6 foot in height at time of planting. So I'd be happy to answer questions or go on. I'm not exactly sure the extent of this, to how this was discussed at the last meeting or not. So I'll stop there and then take any comments or questions if there are any.
Questions from the commission?
When I drove through here yesterday and up in the area. What do you have? Do you have a holding tank or you have a mount?
Let him come up if you're gonna ask him questions.
Joe, can you angle your,
We thought you were gonna ask Sean questions, but it's, if there are no questions for Sean, Mr. Chairman, are you ready to have the petitioner come
Yeah.
forward?
We are.
Okay.
Hi, Gary Nienbauer. Ram is not here, he's on vacation, so he knows a lot more of the intricacies because he owns the property. I'm pretty sure there's a mound there, but I can't say 100%.
I'll tell you the reason I'm asking the question. If you drive in the back of the building through
Right.
the parking there, through the driveway and through there, there's obviously tanks. back
Correct.
there, okay?
There's plumbing,
Just
there's
want to
pipes.
make sure that whatever the extent of the sanitary system is out there, these plantings aren't going in there.
Oh, no, I think it's stopping well short of that. I can see it
Okay,
right there.
This plan,
Yeah,
this plan does not show where those tanks are or the field is. That's my only concern.
okay. I mean, obviously, we would definitely make that shorter.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that's how to scale that is. I mean, we could
I don't know where the,
scale it. I
Yeah.
mean, just kind of by doing a look between the two pictures, we can make sure that that fits in there properly.
yeah, I mean, you don't wanna go
Yep.
digging up your.
Absolutely not,
system or
no.
Your field. Okay,
We don't want to add in more costs, trust me.
yeah. Okay.
So yeah, so if we had to slide them a little closer together, whatever we would need to do
Okay.
to make sure that's not affected.
Okay, that's the only question I had, Mr. Chairman.
Sean? No. Brian? Are you aware of the license that you are?
I know Ron is in the process of working with the county on that.
But I was sort of significant because depending on the license, depending on whether you need the grill or you need the, vent or-
Just state your name.
Connie Nybauer. It's going to be a medium use permit for the restaurant,
Okay. She knows one.
Yes.
At Lake Normal.
Medium use?
medium use. With, in regards to discussing it with Ram and with Waukesha. Mm,
That means. Not familiar with medium use.
that's what he told me. We're gonna have air fryers and a pizza oven. That's, that's our walk-in
Extent.
cooking.
Right.
No flat top, no,
No.
no deep fryer.
No.
and that
No,
stuff.
nothing like that.
Air fryer, ventless air fryers is the new technology.
And
that-
pizza ovens.
Right.
No
Maybe a
grill,
microwave.
no grill, no, nothing like that. No grease fryer, no trap.
So no
One of the
vent being
questions was
going.
getting the exact license you're gonna need.
What's that?
I mean, this was one of
And
the
that's what he.
questions,
that's what Ron
right?
told me.
Believe
Are you
that's-
familiar with a medium use, John?
See, I
think
don't, I
we've
didn't
read
know
about it.
anything
No,
about
I'm
that
not.
part.
Not off the top of my head.
It says on our stuff we had.
That's what.
Okay.
You familiar with a
Yes.
medium use?
No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I was looking to see if you had a
Well,
mount
food
system or a,
inspector.
Right.
or a holding tank. I can't tell.
I know he's
from
in
reviews.
contact with
Sorry.
them, and like he said, he talked to Connie about a medium use permit. I mean, obviously, we're gonna follow whatever it takes.
No, we're not questioning that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not
Yeah.
the issue. The issue is depending on what license you get, that requires different codes and different.
Right.
We're trying to address the questions and concerns. You were here last time, and
Got
so
it.
that's all we're doing, and not, no
Understood.
one's challenging that you
No.
won't obey the law.
Sure.
I mean, I can maybe text them quick.
Probably.
Find that out. We can.
It is called a medium license.
What
Thank
does
you.
that allow? That's what
Okay.
I'm wondering.
Quick guide.
What he told.
I think the concern was there, you're saying air fryer and pizza oven, which is great, but if the license would allow more substantial restaurant cooking, I think that was where the concern might
Well,
come
they're
in.
questioning exactly what that is. Are you familiar with what that is and exactly we need? Cause they need that, they need to know that for, the type of permitting conditions or whatever.
She's reading away.
Good. Can I put you on speaker? I'll put you on speaker and have you come over to microphone. You go with that or not? All right. Okay. He's gonna log into his email quick. I think he's got some notes with whoever.
Could go on Zoom.
Yeah, he can go on.
Oh, you want
He
to?
can join the meeting by Zoom.
Mhm.
He's on vacation. I don't know if he's in the middle of.
Is in this continent.
Yeah.
See on this side?
She found it, that it's called that, so we look to see what that all entails.
Is he on this side of the planet?
He's just looking up his notes. He might
Yeah,
be
you
able to
can
just
talk,
talk.
you can't zoom.
More research. Sorry.
I'm sorry to bug you too. That's the one thing they hit us with. Oh, I didn't know.
Find it?
Thanks for waiting for this. Appreciate it.
So, yeah, basically like all prepackaged, all frozen, not, like we're not gonna be whipping things up.
Right.
This is just snacks and pizzas.
Nothing with some big exhaust
Don't have-
fan that's gonna, like, I know that was a concern of yours.
So just address us. though.
Nope.
Address us.
Oh,
Simple complexity, moderate complexity, or high complexity? Or prepackaged?
correct.
So he needs to know which one it's gonna be.
package, because we're not gonna be.
All right, I'm gonna put you on speaker. As soon as I get it work. All right, Ron, state your name.
Hi, good evening. I'm Subedi for Power Tea Time.
Hi,
Okay, can you re-ask that question, please?
we're inquiring about which license is gonna be required to operate your business on the food end.
So, got it. So according to John, and Holly at the Waukesha County Department of Health, and John is a inspector, I believe. And we need a moderate food use license.
All right.
When we submit the license, our score is 3. So which is, moderate. That's what I was told, and I submit the application to John with the start date and, finish, expected opening date. And he told me to, reach out to him after April 1st, because new licenses start April 1st till the June 30th of the following year. So he does have the application, but he didn't tell me the fee yet. But he told me that I need a moderate license.
$70. You got the fee, I just don't have the price. So
No exhaust fan of any kind is required.
All right, John's gonna keep researching on that. Any other questions from the commission? Now we'll open up the public comment till we can come back to this.
Okay, do you think we're done with Ron?
Don't know.
I'd hold on to them.
Yeah, moderate, the fees is $855, but he said, don't mail the check, because if I mail the check now, the license will expire in June 30th. So we are trying to apply for 2020. I mean, the license that starts from July goes to 2025, June 30th. Okay.
Are you able to hang on for a while or no?
Sure, of course.
All right.
This time we'll open up for public comment then.
No, I'm gonna have.
Write it all down. Thank you. Much?
You'll be able to hear.
I
it.
understand, no problem.
So speaker.
By the way, you can hire me to research that healthcare facility. I do that stuff for a living. Teresa Nelson, N95, W25850 Riverview Drive. Again, I arise in opposition to this proposed cup. At the last meeting on the February 28th, I gave you a brief history of the property and that it abuts a residential neighborhood. I did put a line through the next paragraph because you guys addressed that already. Excuse me. But first point, the application tells us that, that this proposed use would add value to the immediate neighborhood by increasing the occupancy of a half vacant strip mall. That is a self-serving opinion. It is not a fact. And last month, I asked that you please make them prove that statement with hard evidence that they meet the requirements of the village, that they won't harm our property values. It's not my job to prove the negative, though common sense leads one to believe that it's not very many people would choose to live next to a bar. I don't want to. It's the applicant's job to prove to you that it won't harm our property values. If they haven't done so to your satisfaction, please deny the cup. Last month, I mentioned is there adequate on-site parking? And I remember some of you spitballing that based on the size of the space, the occupancy would be only about 40 people. Will you be willing to place that as a maximum capacity? Also on the application, they said there would be no anticipated odor, dust, smoke, or noise. And I did just hear them saying that they're gonna just use an air fryer and a pizza oven, and I appreciate that. But that's not stated in the application. It says bar food. And nothing says quiet, like a bunch of drunks stumbling out of an establishment after a nice round of golf. The developer said last time that it takes 3 to 4 hours to complete a round in his simulators, and he plans to sell liquor. While no bar owner wants its employees to overserve its guests, it's impossible for a bartender to know how much liquor, if any, a customer has consumed before arriving at the establishment. And as a former bartender, I can attest that some people can appear sober upon arrival, and after having only 1 or 2 drinks can become quite belligerent. And that's not including those who walk into the place already so drunk that it's obvious, and the bartender refuses to serve them at all. A bar by its nature invites people who consume liquor. And this location abuts private residences. The developer advised that he'd like to have a country club or business type atmosphere, but he requests hours of operation until 10 PM on weeknights and 11 PM on weekends. 10 PM on weeknights is bedtime for those of us who work and past our children's bedtime. On the 28th of February, we talked about the dumpsters and that there's 2 back there and that they're going to be needed to be emptied more frequently. Have you ever seen how a dumpster gets emptied? A truck pulls up, its forks come out, it picks up the dumpster, it raises it up over its top, and it dumps it in the back of the truck. And the west winds coming out of the west come along and blow the garbage across the area, and it accumulates in the corner of the fence, and there's about 6 inches between the bottom of the fence, and what it does is it captures in my pine trees. I can tell you, my trees have been there longer than the mall. I have to pick up garbage every time I go to cut my grass. I never had to pick up garbage before that mall was there. I'm not saying that these folks aren't cleanly. It's just the nature of the beast. Now you want to bring in even more of that opportunity as there's more garbage because you got a bar and a restaurant. Even if it's just pizza wrappers. I can find that cellophane. There used to be a beauty salon in this place. I would find their hair curler wrappers and stuff like that in my bushes and in my pine trees. We talked about, or I brought up last time that the sports bar here would be in violation of chapter 25 of the village ordinances. Because I assume that the owners want to seek a Class B liquor license, and the application under section 25.09A requires that no liquor license shall be issued to a person or agent for a corporation unless such person or agent has resided in the town continuously for at least 1 year prior to the date of filing the application. That wasn't addressed at the last meeting. You did discuss the proposed floor plan includes a gaming lounge, and the application indicates there'd be game machines on site, 4 or 5 machines alongside the kitchen. Section 2511, paragraph N prohibits gambling, including quote, slot machines or any similar devices of chance are prohibited and shall not be kept on the premises. Shall means you cannot. With a wink and a nod, we were told that they would be for entertainment purposes only. And shockingly, the village attorney said that they won't enforce this ordinance. What? These folks are applying for a conditional use permit. The least you could do is tell them in no uncertain terms that they must comply with all village ordinances, not just the ones they like. And that includes 2511 paragraph N. That no slot machines or similar shall be kept on the premises. Chapter 11, section 3, paragraph S1F is a finding of fact in the village ordinances. And I quote, based upon its review of materials linking alcohol consumption and high-risk sexual behavior and materials linking alcohol consumption and crimes such as sexual assault, and I will add drunk driving, but that's not in here. We're talking about sexual assault right now as a such as. The town finds that a geographic separation is necessary. This is talking about a strip club. But you know what? That finding of fact isn't about a strip club. It's about the consumption of alcohol. And they want to put that next to our homes. There is under chapter 11, section 4D, the final determination and the basis for an approval or denial of a cup. The plan and village board, if required, shall base their determination on the potential effect of such use on the health, general welfare and safety of the town in the immediate neighborhood, which is us. As well as the spirit and the intent of the zoning ordinance. This is zone B2. It's not B3. And I'm gonna say this again, the proposed development seems like a fun place to visit, and I'd probably go to it. But it doesn't belong next to private homes. If you're even remotely considering issuing a cup for this establishment and at a minimum, please place the following conditions on it. It's on the last page. I have 7 of them. The owner must plant pine trees and or other tall dense shrubbery along the entire southern and eastern fence line, not just up next against one house. Never mind that I have a couple trees. Put it all the way down there. Let their trees and bushes capture their garbage. Because number 2, because it's next to private homes, hours of operations end at 9 PM on weeknights and 10 PM on weekends. This is next to our homes. There cannot be any exhaust hoods or food preparation hoods exhausting to the outside of the building ever. I don't want to, I believe what the Waukesha County people said, and that, you know, what happened in 2006, there needs to be a conditional use permit. I don't want to be back here in 10 years saying, now you want to put an exhaust hood in, because I knew you were going to do that. I was told when this mall went in that their garbage wouldn't be in my yard. I was told a lot of things back then. I was told we wouldn't even be having to do this today because this was never going to happen. I was told that, whether that's in the minutes or not, it's what I was told. So I'd like it, if you're going to do this, make that as a condition, a hard condition, that they will never be able to exhaust out food preparation out the back of that building. In compliance with the ordinance at chapter 11, or excuse me, chapter 25, paragraph 11N, no slot machine or similar gambling devices will be allowed on the premises, period. If the owners don't meet the requirements of chapter 25, paragraph 9A, no liquor license can be issued, then no liquor is going to be allowed. Extra vermin control and garbage pickup in the dumpster area will be added, including picking up refuse around the truck when the dumpsters are emptied. And the maximum capacity shall be limited to 50 people, including staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone on Zoom that wishes to make any comments in this public hearing?
No hands raised on Zoom.
On to answering the questions then at this time. John, can you reiterate on the gambling / gaming / machines, the difference and the rules? So in here, Teresa had brought up the fact that they're gonna have some gaming machines. Gaming machines on site 4 or 5 alongside. And that versus, I mean,
Entertainment machines.
entertainment machines.
It's my understanding that they're not legal. You certainly can't have payoffs, but we can't enforce it. Only the state can.
So it's not a matter of that
Five
we
or
are,
less is one category, and that's why most of the establishments you see are 5. After 5, I think maybe the state looks at it more closely, but
this is something that's only enforced by the state. We have no power to do this. So it is not a matter of we are not doing it. We have no power to do this, even though our code states that section 25.11 sub M, I'm assuming, she's very thorough, I'm assuming that's correct. Prohibits gambling machines, prohibits gambling, including slot machines or any similar chance devices. We have no power to enforce that section of our code.
well, we have no power to enforce if they're in the establishment. This is a conditional use. You can put reasonable conditions on a conditional use. That's a different question. I don't know that. I don't want to avoid your
if these-
question.
if these
We can't
machines-
enforce it, if, you know, if it's, name another establishment here in town that's legally operating, you know, if they put the 5 in there and they're not violating a CU or an ordinance.
I don't think it's a matter of whether or not the machines are there, it's whether or not they're being used as actual gambling machines. So if it's found that they were gambling machines. And we have a section 25 sub .11 sub N that says you can't gamble and it's proven that they are gambling.
I don't think we have jurisdiction now under the current law. 5 or less machines, unless it's part of a CU and then he's violating the CU.
Not have the machines again.
So it could be a condition of the CU that gambling machines are not permitted as part of the establishment.
They're not gambling machines.
Sure, just-
I understand that, but I'm
So-
saying if they put that in the CU, that would
You can step up to the-
satisfy.
I mean, this is
the
back and
question.
forth right now. You can step up to the mic here. So it's stated, you cannot have.
Let me know if you have anything. That's right, we're.
So we
listening.
would potentially state in there, you cannot, I mean, it's the law, but you cannot have gambling machines.
We're not opening.
So. I don't know what to do. I mean, I see these things all over the place.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is Joe Mama's in your,
No.
no, they're not.
Washington County.
I was just wondering.
I see these in other other
Right.
municipalities. I
I'm
know
sure
what's
you have
happening
them in
with them.
yours.
I have. In my own family, I have people who are addicted to gambling. I hate them. I hate them. They destroy people. So if these things.
I'm an
are gam-
alcoholic. I don't like drinking, but
Yeah,
it's
but
part
I'm-
of business.
Not gambling, it's illegal.
Right. No, I'm talking about
Yeah.
alcohol
This
myself.
is illegal.
Correct.
Okay.
Entertainment, no. But are there other facilities in Lisbon that have?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a question for you guys.
We only have one other restaurant and it hasn't opened yet.
And it would not matter if they did.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not legal no matter who has them.
Although,
So that is an accurate statement here.
okay.
I didn't want to cut you off there, Sherry.
No, I'm just saying if we make it a condition of the conditional use permit, then it's something we could enforce. Is what was the point I was trying to make, but protecting you to allow your entertainment as long as they weren't gambling, which would help the
Truly just
plan commission
entertainment, there would be
board
no issue.
and the residents.
Okay. The liquor license question, which is. Section 2509 sub A requires that no liquor license shall be issued to a person or agent of corporation unless such person or agent has resided in town continuously for at least 1 year prior to the date of the filing application. This was asked last time. I'm sorry. Section 2509 sub A requires that no liquor license shall be issued to a person, agent, corporation unless such person or agent has resided in the town continuously for at least 1 year prior to the date of filing the application. Is this something that's applicable to this?
Sure, but 12504 sets forth, I'd have to see if there's a conflict between that section. 12504 of the Wisconsin statute controls that section.
Because this wasn't the last round of questions from last month.
That section does allow for a class 8 for that.
Yeah, I thought I couldn't at all. Well, now you refer to the staff and it's legal or not legal. We had,
That's a village ordinance, not the state.
I have it on the
But in
screen
many,
here. I
many
can read it.
respects, the village ordinance cannot be more restrictive than state law, so you can't have something that conflicts.
you can just tell me. I'm not an expert in these at all. I would really-
It'll be the same situation, Joe,
What?
as this would be the same information, same situation with Pizza Ranch and our golf courses as well. If they don't live here.
I can tell you the existing license holders for a full Class B combination license for on-premise beer and liquor consumption. None of them are residents of the village.
I don't doubt that, but it's, the applicant is right or she's wrong. I'm not the applicant, but the Teresa, I'm just gonna say you by name.
That it's
so
in
you're
our
here.
code.
I mean, she's right or she's wrong.
Hmm.
Or we're right or we're wrong. So that's the question.
My understanding of the state statute, like Attorney Macy said, is that state statute trumps local ordinances.
Five point oh nine, so Brian's got it on the screen here, but his computer.
Yeah, you want me to read it? I can read the whole thing. It's not very long.
Well, Ron's not a resident, but he has owned that strip mall for, I don't know, 7 years or so.
Well, we have there's other
Oh, it's not-
businesses that are operating under this. And
Right.
it's either 2509.
Oh, yeah, Ron said he's a Waukesha County resident, lives in Brookfield.
Sure,
Yeah.
and this isn't,
Yeah.
we are operating this way already, so either we are having everybody operate illegal or the state code overwrites that, and that's what the question is right now.
It says, no fermented malt beverage or intoxicating liquor license shall be issued to a person or agent for a corporation unless person or agent has resided in the town continuously for at least 1 year prior to the date of filing the application, except for a Class A fermented malt beverage license, which is a beer depot, just for those. So, first, we don't have an application yet. I don't know if a corporation or person is applying, and I don't know who the agent is. Many corporations, national and international corporations, hire a local agent who meet the requirements. That's who
Is
they
that local, yeah, I just don't, it's a question. It's,
But, if we have in the document that that the requirement is to get a liquor license from us, in order to open a bar, you know, that is taken up at a different body. It's not taken up here. We don't have an application at this time.
whether or
so-
not it has any bearing on tonight's meeting, I think this is something, either our code is superseded by state code, our code is old.
And we'd have to look at that before we brought them in with an application, correct? That's the last time it was codified. That's why 2017 is everything that was codified the last time.
Or either there's a Wisconsin code that supersedes it or we're doing things wrong. So it's something we're gonna have to address, even though whether it has or does not have to do with the CUP portion of it, it's something that
We'll have
needs
to
to be
address.
looked at. Okay. The odor and smoke question, I believe that has been addressed. It was asked what would happen if they wanted to come back and put a vent in and there would have to be a reopened CUP for that, correct? I mean,
Put the condition in.
that was part of the license question, what would be allowed or not allowed. So if it was of the board's opinion, if adding that if there was ever gonna be a vent or anything put in for a grill, that they would have to come back under the CUP process again, okay? There was a question based upon its review of materials, thinking alcohol consumption and high-risk sexual behavior. For myself, that is something that is under the adult-orientated portion of that. Alcohol consumption and driving is, while intoxicated, is illegal and should be prosecuted. I don't know if the commission has any other comments on that.
I personally wouldn't think this is the type of establishment where you're going to have people drinking mass amounts of alcohol.
And if they do and they drive, they are susceptible to the law.
Yes, it brings crime to the neighborhood.
Promise you'll give you a section, you'll be able to go again, I promise. I always let you go, Teresa. Sorry, I kind of jumped around there. The parking requirements, so it was requested on that end that the building be limited to 50 applicant or 50, not applicants, or excuse me, 50 people. That is, as far as that goes, who determines how many
Isn't that,
people are allowed?
isn't that a fire code? mean,
I
how many
believe so, but
people
I'm
you could-
asking.
I mean, we have 6,000.
We have 6,000 square feet.
Not that we're
Plenty of
having
parking.
thousands of people in there, but we have a big park.
How many people do you anticipate being in there at a time?
And, you know, I mean, if there's 4 people per sim, I mean, maybe 40, 50, but you know, if there's some sort of a corporate event or something like that, there might be more, you know, whatever the fire code allows.
You got
Right.
companies going for, tea times.
Yeah, so there might be a little overlap, but whatever the fire code allows, right?
A good rule of thumb is 10 square feet per person.
Okay, so 60.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb.
Then,
If it's an auditorium, then it's 7 square feet, but a
Right.
restaurant type sitting is
I mean,
10
I wouldn't
square feet
see-
per person.
I want, like, again, there may be a little bit of overlap with people coming and leaving, but I don't know if we're planning on we're not really having any big events unless someone has a party. And then we will limit it to the fire code.
So this was addressed at last month's public hearing. Planner Sumwalt estimated that 33 parking spaces would be the high end of the requirements for the proposed business, and there are 128 shared spaces available to the strip mall.
So if there were 60 people in there, would it still be the opinion that 33 would be enough?
That's how he estimated it.
Based on the square footage of the use is how the
Correct.
parking is estimated, not based on anticipated number of customers, but just what the square footage is.
So if they have parking stalls assigned to them, if other businesses come into the shopping center, those stalls would not be able to be used for other.
Right, because they're shared spaces.
We keep track of that to make sure that that's not, because I mean, they have 100, they have enough room. But we would make sure that if other uses came into that shopping center, that the
Okay,
number of parking spots that are assigned to this would not exceed for the other.
We want to make sure that there's enough for everybody.
Okay, everybody, any follow-up questions on that?
Which I'm sure we would also, because Rom owns the shopping,
Right.
so we're not gonna deny anybody parking.
Right.
If for the renters of the building,
Plus some of that other end
if there
is,
was any problem.
not even open.
It was requested that your hours be 9 PM weeknights and 10 PM on weekends.
We're not gonna have any outside noise. The noise will be contained in the building. I mean, so it's just like your neighbors having their stereo cranked up. I mean, it's,
So you're still requesting the 10 PM and
Yeah.
11 PM?
Yeah.
Okay. And
I
we'll
mean,
obviously
it's
discuss
not
that.
gonna be, we're not gonna be cranking it or having any outside entertainment. It's all gonna be contained in the building.
You address, as far as the vermin control, you addressed that would be.
Yeah, we have Ron has that rodent control existing, I believe.
What about the, I spoke of garbage and refuse that's been blown.
We would increase the pickups as necessary and, be clean about it. I mean, do the best you can.
Well, I mean,
It doesn't mean it's coming from there. It can come from anywhere. It can come from Quick Trip. It can come from wherever, how the wind blow it. It could be blowing from there and eddy current, if you know what an eddy current is, and eddy current around and come in. I mean,
we
you
can
can't,
do
you
it.
can't control litter. All we can do is our part to be as clean as possible.
Control your litter.
Right,
We can do
Right.
it too, just.
Correct.
You can take walks once a week when, after the garbage guy goes.
Right.
It blows in my neighborhood, when the garbage. guy
I mean, we're
goes.
gonna be good neighbors. We're gonna go through, we want a clean establishment. We don't want it to look any, we don't want to disturb the neighbors, we just, want to have a fun place to go, basically, is what it comes down to.
For the landscaping end of it, it was requested that the shrubbery go across the entire southern edge of the eastern fence line. What's our code for this, or is it?
Well, the conditional use, let me see if I can find it for landscaping, requires a planting screen of at least 6 feet in initial height shall be provided between any abutting residential district and the proposed conditional use. The commission may require additional screening.
So we have 6-foot fence along the whole thing. We're putting up additional trees for the part that we're gonna occupy.
She requested
I
to
think
keep it
it's
as-
redundant. I mean, to go any further, then it should be the other people that have to do it,
Well,
not
and-
us.
Didn't you say that you have a sanitary system
Yeah,
that?
yeah, and we gotta
that
make sure we would
eliminate
avoid that, but we're gonna be
plantings
short of
that
that.
Right, we could have.
And the trees are gonna go probably a little bit past where our last
You're
base is.
requesting as presented.
Right,
Correct.
yeah.
And it just.
Questions from the commission while I'm just going over anything for you, Sherry?
No, the only thing is if the trash is coming off of when they're unloading, when they're emptying the dumpsters and going underneath the fence, is there any way to put plantings just in that corner where it's blowing towards? Just
Again, it's
short
opinion
plantings?
where the garbage is coming from. It could be coming from anywhere. You know what I mean? I mean, we do have a dumpster there, but the guys are doing it and that's their job, keep it clean.
Well, it's your garbage.
And it's our job, well, you're right, and it's
If-
our job to
believe it or
help.
not, if that garbage comes out while that person is doing
Right,
that.
and it's our job to
it's
help
still your
maintain it.
ticket.
You know, we do the best we can.
Yeah, it's, the requirement on that is actually crazy, but
Right.
it's.
Besides plantings, I understand what you're saying. Maybe down at that fence, if there's a big gap underneath the fence, maybe we just put some sort of screen mesh,
Connie, can you
Yeah.
talk into the microphone? We do have people on Zoom.
I'm sorry, maybe instead of plantings, which I get, but it still just gets wrapped around them, but maybe in that past the dumpster there, where when it dumps and blows towards them, that we put some sort of just a mesh, like a wire mesh, just at the bottom. That's
Right.
to fill the gap.
The fence is 6 inches or more above the ground, so
Mhm.
it can be maintained.
Right.
That's why you don't
'Cause of-
run fences down to the ground.
So they can lawn mow.
Otherwise, you're
do
gonna end
everything.
up with weeds.
Yeah, so I think it's just a matter of, I guess, just, after on garbage day, you just take a walk and you see if anything blue and you pick it up if it's, if it's in our side where we can get to it, because obviously there's a fence.
Part
And
of
you do the best you
operations.
can.
Sure, I don't get anything else, sorry.
No, that was just the only suggestion I was gonna make.
No, I mean, the trees, the garbage, the questions have been pretty much asked and answered.
Joe?
I have nothing.
John, this is a question for you too while you're doing that, I guess. It was stated. The applicant tells us under general conditions answers that that the proposed use adds value to the immediate neighborhood by increasing the occupancy. The vacant property that's currently hurting the property values in the neighborhood. It was stated this is a self-serving is not good enough. Last month I asked, would you please make them prove this statement with hard evidence that they meet the requirements? It's not my job to prove the negative. For common sense leads one to believe that not very many people would choose to live next to a bar. It's the applicant's job to prove it, that you won't harm property values. If they have not done so to your satisfaction, please deny. So there's actually two things here. So there's one statement that it would increase property values, there's one statement that it would not harm property values, is actually two different things. It is the applicant's responsibility to state that they will not harm property values. Correct?
Well,
Whatever the code.
Do you have that section?
So yeah, so the section of the code requires the proposed use shall not injure the use of the property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted or substantially diminish the property values within the neighborhood. Substantially diminish.
So and how that has been, I mean, I know I've been through this process myself at times, is stating that you will not do it.
Board has to balance the information presented at the public hearing to determine whether or not the condition has been satisfied or not. We we oftentimes get conflicting comments. And you have to decide, whether it's mere opinion or whether it's, factual, or you've already stated that previously in the last one. And the state has specifically said that,
Just anything you want to add at this time? I'm open up for public comment again.
Yeah, no, I don't, not at this time.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll open up for public comment again. Teresa.
Teresa Nelson. Interesting conversation about the diminished property value, as you guys are talking about, and this owner says his half vacant mall diminishes my property value. We were told this mall wouldn't diminish my property value at all. We were promised that. And he's admitting that it is. And now they want to put a bar in there. And I appreciate that you want to go out and have a great time. I appreciate that people like to go out and have fun. But some of us are trying to get some sleep so that we can go to work, so that we can pay our mortgage, so that we can keep our house that we've been in for 25 years, that we don't feel like moving, but have to because of the trailer trash that comes around us. This is some serious stuff. We have put up with a mall. We've put up with a state highway. We have a Quick Trip. Now you want a freaking bar. What's next? Is the strip club coming in next? Why not? Push, 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 push. We have taken it in this neighborhood. I have lived here for over 25 years. We have taken it. Time and time again. I am asking you, please, tell them no. They are hurting our property values. They're bringing crime into our area. We have families that are trying to enjoy their use of their property. And although it will be contained inside, you cannot keep the drunk people contained inside when they leave. Please, enough. It's been enough now. Thank you.
Okay, I managed to find, if he said they're paying $800, and it's moderate. But it's very interesting, and I've never looked into it. I'm glad I had a chance to. Retail food establishments serving meals, including retail food establishments serving prepackaged meals. So, the way the system works, for any of you who want to look it up, there's a whole list of determining factors for assigning license categories. So they have to tell us which of these 10 or 12 things they reported, and that's how they got to the moderate. And a retail establishment handles raw poultry, meat, eggs, or food is 0.1. Retail establishment contains a self-service salad or food bar, 1. The retail establishment does not serve meals and an annual gross food receipts more than 5,000. Well, this one claims that it is going to serve food. I mean, meals, because that's how they got to the 100, so they must be serving meals. So I don't have enough information to know what type. All it says is, I don't know the specifics, but I know that there are retail food establishments serving meals at the moderate level. But until we get answers to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Pardon?
I might have that.
Okay.
But also as part of the CU, we can certainly say no hoods and no outside vents, regardless of whatever their
And that should
license
cover what
is.
we're discussing here.
I do have it. So if you'd like to look at it. And this is the application for,
Gary, can you speak into the microphone, please?
it looks like I do have what Ron sent. I just want to make sure that's it first, because there are a bunch of things. Retail food plan of operation, is that what you're talking about?
Determining factors for assigning license category, but go ahead, they might compare.
Provide brief description. Breakfast sandwich, hash browns, chicken wings, all air fryer type stew, type of establishment, bar. Will you be serving food to any of the following highly susceptible population? No, to answer all that. Are you planning any off-site sale of your product? No. Do you have a current food manager certificate? Correct. Do you have employees illnesses? I think you're looking more of the type of food, right? How do you?
Honestly, I think if we require what we talked about
Right.
with Sean here, that if you can't put a hood in.
Correct,
Related to food, related to serving of food.
right, I don't think that's the one I was looking for.
Because if we do that, that covers the fact that we're not gonna have any outside odors or
Correct.
anything like that. Mission. Agree? Okay. Because I think if we get into the discussion with that of what's gonna be on and what's not allowed, if we miss something that it isn't gonna meet the intent of what was being discussed. Okay.
Good.
Any other questions?
I have none.
Anything else from staff?
I guess I have one other question. The The change to the zoning ordinance that allows this use in B2 as a conditional use, has that been enacted yet, or is that still pending? Say it again?
Last meeting.
Last meeting it was enacted or just approved? Is it signed? Is it an ordinance yet or not?
Um,
And the only reason I ask is that this approval, if it's approved, would be, if that's not enacted, would be dependent on that being enacted.
We did, sorry, Plan Commission did approve that at the last meeting and it went to Village Board, who approved it 2 weeks ago.
So
Is
it's
that
on the
correct?
books, it's an ordinance.
Been posted and noticed and everything.
Okay.
Yes. Yep, that was the joint. Yep, you're correct.
Say that I did. That was actually the first question on here too, that I apologize, I didn't address that. Okay, any other? Nothing else, any other comments? Any other public comments to be made? Teresa, do you have anything else to,
I just wondering if you're gonna make them prove that my property value won't be diminished.
if you step up and just state that it's,
I'd just like to know if you're gonna make them prove with fact and not self-serving opinion that my property value isn't gonna be diminished by this, by putting a bar behind my house.
else? Commission, any comments?
No.
All right. So. Close the public hearing then at 8:46. Lead into the regular plan commission meeting then. Item 2 is citizen comments. Does anyone have any comments tonight on anything on the agenda?
If there are any public comments, please use the raise hand function on Zoom.
Item 3, approval of the minutes. We have the February 28th, 2024 special joint village board and plan commission public hearing and meeting, and we have the February 28th, 2024 public hearing and plan commission meeting.
Move for their approval is submitted.
Approve, second by Sean.
Is that for both?
Both.
Sean, your second for both.
Second for both, yes.
Okay.
Affirmative.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 4, unfinished business. A, discussion necessary action on the request by Ram Sabidi and Gary Nybauer, part-time golf and sports bar for property located at North 95 West 25901 County Road Q, LSBT 0158.994.011. For the following, we have a conditional use permit for a restaurant and tavern in the B2 local business zoning district. We have the site plan of operation for an indoor golf simulator, restaurant and tavern in the B2 local business zoning district. All right, so we have the conditional use, which was the public hearing is for, and then we have the site plan of operation. Is there anything? Else? Anything to go over on that site plan of operation?
I guess I would just note that as part of the recommended conditions that the plan of operation as presented by the applicant and the application in terms of number of employees and hours of operation, et cetera, are listed in the approval conditions. That's essentially the difference between that and the approve the conditional use permit.
Commission and the tree line. Questions whether or not it should extend or not, is commission's will to extend it or keep it where it is.
My opinion is to leave it the way it's presented.
It meets our code and there's, if they, we would require them to extend it, how would they do that if that's gonna interfere with their septic system?
John,
No questions.
Brian?
As presented.
Hours of operation. I was asked it to be 9 to 10. The applicant is asking to keep them at 10 and 11. Sherry?
I have no problem with 11 on the weekend. 10 during the week? What are the, how late are the other businesses in there open? The liquor store, is there still a liquor store in there?
Serious.
They're probably open till what, 9?
So
Till 9? Till what?
I think they can only sell liquor.
Till-
Um,
Beer, I think is till midnight.
Lisbon is Quick Trip. That's open later.
I mean, in the mall, I don't think there's other businesses that are in the mall probably are open that late.
There's a dentist's office and a physical therapy thing or something.
And
I'm okay with 10. I was just trying to appease some of the public comments.
I was just thinking, I know 9 o'clock, is 9:30 something, during weekdays? Could it be winters? What about winter, summer hours? I mean, in the winter, it's gonna, people probably get out early.
step on up and you can state what you want versus,
The winter time is when our business thrives, so we prefer 10 o'clock. You know, league purposes.
Okay.
I guess I do have one other question. Are you gonna remain open year round?
That's our intent.
Okay, because I know, the first year, the one in Sussex, they closed during the summer.
Correct.
That's why I was.
Our intent is not to have to do that.
Okay.
So. We're gonna have to play that by ear. We may limit our hours then, but at this time, we're looking for the year round.
and the
timeframe.
request was year round, just so
Correct.
that the app, we're not introducing any new information. It was.
Correct.
No, I was just asking.
For what it's worth, the liquor store online is listed open till 9 PM.
Go.
10 o'clock.
And weekends,
Uh,
you mean 10 on weekdays and 11
Uh,
or 10 on both, or?
as he's got it simulated here, it's got 10 to 10 Monday through Thursday, 10 to 11 on Friday and Saturday, and 10 to 10 on Sunday. So I'm going with what the applicant requested.
Right.
I'd be okay with that as well.
Putting a restriction in the CUP for if they're gonna come back and need anything with an exhaust hood.
Yes.
Everybody's in agreement with that? All right. The slot machines.
I
Well,
think-
they're not slot machines, excuse me, entertainment.
Entertainment.
I
I
think,
read it.
I think we put in the conditional use that they cannot have gambling machines for entertainment only.
And, I'm in concurrence with that.
Go.
Fine with me.
I'm good.
Okay. This license is addressed in a separate entity, that's the clerks, bringing it back to the board, so that we need to look into that for our own
We will.
self, so. Vermin control, they've agreed to have that, I don't know that it needs to be in the CUP, but. And how does everybody feel about that with the applicant has stated they would do it.
I don't have any reason to put that into as a condition.
No, me either, 'cause they already have it to increase it.
Well, it's gotta be for, the state inspects this for
Yeah,
food, food. Okay. Capacity limit. Do you wanna go off what the fire department recommends? Do you wanna set a capacity limit? Not
I
even sure
liked,
what,
I liked his idea of like the rule of thumb type thing. That's just 60. We were talking about a rule of thumb.
we can just stick to our
Like-
code. I mean,
Okay, yeah, whatever that
that was
is.
the will.
Yes.
Yes.
So not mention it in the conditional use permit then,
Just
as far as occupancy.
I
Just
mean,
stick
I
to what
think
our
we're gonna
code
have
is.
to have a sign that says X amount. I
And that will
think.
be determined.
Right, okay,
Okay,
I'm learning.
all right. Yeah, as far as everything else, everything covered, everybody good with everything? Any other questions or comments? We'd be looking then for a motion on the conditional use and also on the site plan of operation.
I want to go through the conditions of the conditional use for a moment, if we would. Because you want the
Yes.
site plan of operations, so are you gonna go through them or I?
You got them written down.
Well, I started to, you've got the list in front of you. I think the conditional use approval is limited and we gave the tax key number. I think we should add, Sean, the suites at the west side of the building.
Three west suite.
Okay, so we don't have any expansion or growth or if some other business moves out, okay?
Mhm.
So there's no
Yeah.
confusion there. The landscape condition, you all in front of you, number 2, I would recommend that you leave it. You've given guidance to the planner that he can accept the plan, but we just got the plan tonight. I think the plan needs to be looked at. You need to check the septic. You need to check to make sure, you've all stated that you don't have a problem with the plan. You've given him the guidance that you don't need it any further, but you need it protected for the septic so I would recommend we keep the condition the way it is. So that 3 and 4, I don't really have any conditions or comments on. But you had one, I would suggest that it be, subject to the issuance of the restaurant license for a moderate use, that they give us the copy of what they applied for, so you can give them what they applied for and nothing more. And that it added then no, food only prepared by the air fryers and pizza oven.
Well,
We could put all that in there.
do you want to say that or just to say no hoods or exhaust vents related to the preparation of food?
My legal recommendation is if the board has no problem with giving them what they ask for, that's what you give them. But because you're giving them a whole lot more if you just say no vent. So you want to give them what they ask for, or you want to just restrict it? That's Sean's question. My recommendation is you give them what they ask for, nothing more, nothing less.
I agree with that because that's what the public hearing was on and that's what we should do.
So does that deal with the preparation of hot food? Because there's other food that's prepared not
Okay.
with an air fryer, not with.
They said they're preparing all their hot food with an air fryer and a
Correct.
pizza oven is the testimony.
Hot fire, no microwave oven.
Oh, it might have a microwave, but depending on the food.
Or outside the
I mean,
public
that's
hearing.
pretty standard, isn't it? I didn't even think of that. But everything's gonna be frozen and then air fryer. We're not gonna reheat, we're not gonna reuse,
So the intent in the public hearing was to make sure that there was no,
we're not gonna
Exhaust
store
smell,
and then
there's-
bring it back out. It's,
this isn't a
It-
restaurant or something.
it's a
like blowing
one-time
food
thing.
smell Outside. that could
right,
be-
there's nothing getting vented out. They're all
So how do we
ventless
word
air
that?
fryers,
It's a restaurant. You can't,
right?
for everything I was looking at, this is a restaurant, they're serving meals. That's what they're asking for. This is a middle grade, it's moderate where they can serve meals. So
So I got the preparation of hot food is limited to use of an air fryer, microwave and pizza oven. And then also no hood or exhaust vents related to preparation of food.
Correct.
I mean, we'll write it any way you want, then what your
Well, I think
commission
that's the-
wants, but
What you just heard Sean say, is that the intent of the commission?
Yes.
So if you were to want to put in something else, you have
Yeah,
to come back.
we'd have to
And then
redo
the
it
Whole
and-
public CUP
Correct,
process.
that's
and
not our intent, so
Everyone's notified properly.
understood.
so no outside venting or smells emanating from the building is the intent. I just
Hood
want to put
or
down
air
what you
vent.
want, what?
No hood or air vent.
Exhaust vents. yeah.
Exhaust vent.
Related to the preparation of food. I mean, they might
Right.
have vents,
Yeah.
exhaust vents, but.
Yeah, we can't restrict if there's vents for bathrooms or anything like that, but
Okay, and then, you said no gambling machine.
Right, got that.
Uh,
Do we want to add anything related to obtaining a liquor license? The conditional use doesn't mention it. Do we say that
they can't get a liquor license.
get
This
it
isn't gonna last.
doesn't matter anyways?
Right.
Just to be silent on that.
Is that the wish of the?
Yeah, and that goes to.
Well, we
that
could
goes to
say
the
that a
village.
liquor, subject to,
But if they wanted to operate with just soda, we
Right.
can't, I don't wanna limit the business.
they would say no sale of alcoholic
Right,
beverages without it.
we don't get the
doing
liquor
it.
license, it's a dump.
I'd be good with that.
Yes, you good to ask, well.
No
Gone through
issuance,
the-
no sale, or consumption, but you can't bring it in either.
Or
Possession,
consumption
consumption, there's the words right out of it,
without
without-
proper license.
without proper alcohol beverage license.
Correct.
Right.
Do it.
I have, no, I don't, I just wanted to, that's all I have.
Sean, anything else? Anything else in the commission?
Not I.
I think we covered everything.
All right, so then we'd be looking first on the motion on the conditional use permit. Is there a motion on the conditional use permit?
I'll make a motion on the approval of the conditional use permit with the changes we just went over and the conditions as stated in the planner's review.
Is there a second? By Sherry. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries 5-0. The site plan of operation for indoor golf simulator restaurant tavern in the B2 local business zoning district. Is there a motion on that?
Same motion for the site plan and plan of operation for as requested.
Second?
Well, is it as the condition as set forth by the planner? Is that what you mean?
Yes,
That-
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Okay. Is there a
And
second?
did we make any changes to the hours or anything? I'm sorry, I was.
No,
looking at
we
the
did
agenda.
not.
Hours
Okay,
consistent.
fine.
Brian? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries 5-0. That's it.
Thank you. We need anything else? We're good?
We don't.
It would be helpful if you gave us a copy of your application.
Got it.
For your restaurant license.
Yeah, we have that noted.
Yeah.
Alicia, would that go to you?
Yes.
Okay.
That will give you what, yeah.
Do we need 12 copies?
No, just electronic, please. I don't need more
All
paper.
right,
Thank you.
great, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, 5, new business, A, discussion necessary action on the request by William Majeski, Blue Line Cleaning Services for approval of original site plan of operation for office and warehouse use for a cleaning business in the property located at West 230 North 5000 Betker Drive, Unit A, LSPT 0284.995.021.
Applicant is present on Zoom.
Hello. Wait, good. Sean?
Sure. I guess all I'll really say about this is that it's, the comprehensive plan has a plan for industrial. It's zoned F2 General Industrial District, which does allow a wide range of business, including any other commercial use or industrial use not otherwise prohibited by law, provided the location, building plan, and site plan of operations been submitted and approved. So they are able to apply for zoning. The uses of and activities are described as operation of a residential and commercial cleaning contractor office and shop, providing window cleaning, pressure washing, gutter cleaning, house washing, roof washing, and snow removal. Number of employees is noted as 6 full-time, 2 part-time, and 6 seasonal. Minimum of 1 employee at any given time and maximum of 15 employees at any given time. Hours of operation, 8 AM to 5 PM, Monday through Friday. Total business hours, but operating hours are 7:30 AM to 5 PM, Monday through Friday. Outdoor storage, there'd be 1 utility trailer stored at the rear of the building. There are some evergreen plantings to the north of that area. It's noted in the staff report that the Plan Commission previously found that screen to be appropriate for the previous tenant, which was ANASA Traffic Restoration Services. The report mentions that there's plenty of parking according to the requirements of the ordinance. And I think that's all I really have to add.
Questions from the commission? Sherry, anything?
No.
Sean? Joe?
No.
Brian?
No.
Anything from the applicant?
No, thank you.
The hours of operation you have listed, you're gonna be out of the building by 5 o'clock?
Most of the time, yeah. Occasionally, if jobs run late, I try not to make my guys work past 5 o'clock. So unless something goes wrong on a job, they could be occasionally late, 5:30, but that's very rare.
This is something we go over quite often. So if you are operating in there, you need to be out of there by the time your hours of operations are up. So in the area you're located at, I think we have other businesses that are open quite a bit later, so this would probably be the time to request later hours.
For that, for number two, the operating hours,
Right.
not necessarily the business hours.
Right.
Well, I mean, the operating hours for our snow removal business is, you know, as you know, it's weather dependent, so. What
Can we
would
turn
you,
that up somehow?
what would you suggest
It's
for that?
through our microphone speakers. Bill, we're just having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, yeah, and there's a bunch of feedback throughout the meeting, so let me know what I can do to try to fix that. Can you hear me now?
I can kind of hear
A
you.
little bit better.
Hold on, let me try to figure this out on my end. I'm sorry.
What I'm concerned about when we get in these operating hour requests and people don't understand what they're committing to, I would suggest you may want to consider longer operating hours because you avoid a lot of problems. Example, you're using snow plowing, well, it tends to snow later than 5 o'clock in Wisconsin occasionally.
Yep.
Well, if you're a 24/7 operation with snow plowing, your operating hours would have to reflect that.
Correct.
So you may want to request that.
Okay, how do I go about doing that?
Request 24/7 operating hours from us right now.
Now's your chance.
Could I request 24/7 operating hours, please, knowing that during the snow, that's what our true intention is for that, for the window cleaning. It certainly won't be 24/7, but in order to make the request, I would appreciate it.
All right, so the applicant is requesting that the operating hours be changed from 7:30 AM to 5 PM Monday through Friday to 24/7. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a
Any
perfect
problem
place
with the
for it.
commission on that? No, no problems in the commission on that. All right.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nothing.
Anything else from the applicant?
No, sir.
All right. Staff, anything else?
No.
Is there a motion on this?
I'll make a motion for approval as submitted with the exception of change of hours of operation to 24/7, 7 days a week.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill.
Item
a good
B,
night.
necessary action request by agent Jenny Chapman, SMJ International, on behalf of owner tenant American Tower Company for the property located at North 80 West 26020 Plainview Road, LSBT 0176.996 for the following. We have a site plan of operation amendment to allow structural reinforcements to be installed in the existing communication tower. We have the site plan of operation amendment to allow a class 2 co-location for a T-Mobile on the existing communications tower.
Applicant is present on Zoom.
I guess I would just add that, the board has determined both of these applications to be non-substantial modifications to existing telecommunication facilities, one on December 19th and the other on August 9th of both of last year. For the modification to the tower itself, the petitioner is looking to structurally reinforce the tower with red rods per the structural analysis that was performed by their engineers. It does meet the non-substantial modification. And the details of the plan of operation are listed in the staff report. For T-Mobile as a co-location, again, it's non-substantial. They're not going to be expanding anything beyond what's allowed. For that, there is going to be a new 6x13 lease pad as part of the compound, and the compound is going to be expanded by about 217 square feet. I think that's all I got.
The only comment I would make on that is to, as a condition on the on the amendment,
Which one?
the one for the structural modifications and a copy of the special inspection, that's a specific term, be submitted to the village for their files.
Could you, just for my benefit, what is the special inspection?
It's on their plans. When they get done doing the modifications, they hire a
After the fact?
independent inspection firm to go out there and go and inspect the whole 174 feet to make sure it was done right.
Okay,
And then they submit a report to their client, which is ATC, I believe. And then they should file a copy of that with the village for their records.
Jenny, did you catch that?
Yes, that's not a problem.
Is this
That's
appropriate
fine.
to discuss what the, like, so when this tower is done being used or the conditional use is done on this, that what happens to the tower?
Right, we're having, as you know, because you know the law as well or better than we do, you're not required to amend the conditional use as part of this process. But I had suggested, and we're trying to at least find the conditional use that purports to be on this property to see what, if any, section of the conditional use deals with, what happens if the tower is no longer used. And, we're wondering if you have a copy of the conditional use or so many of these were handled by the county on our behalf under our code back then that, we're having trouble trying to locate that information. What, if any, information can you share with us in that regard?
I don't know anything specific about this, how this lease was set up, but I know on other projects that when they're no longer using the tower, American Tower will take the tower down and remove all the equipment and, return it to whatever it was before. So that, but I haven't reviewed this lease to see what's in there, but that's normally how they do it. And I'm working on other decommissioning projects now with American Tower, so that's something that they do when they're done with the tower.
Well, I appreciate the comment. My recommendation to the board is that conditions be added to this site plan and plan of operation approval, that a copy of the existing conditional use be placed on file, and that the planner review it to make sure it has the provisions that have just been represented by the petitioner. I think those are fair requests. I don't think that's unreasonable to say, we want to know what the total story is at the site and what the condition is. I just want to know what it is, and I have no reason to believe that she's not representing it properly, but I'm trying to get the file complete.
Okay, and I can get that from American Tower, whatever they have from when they built the tower. If the county doesn't have it, but I can find whatever American Tower has.
Yeah, Jenny, if you can just email that to me, that would be great.
Okay.
It has the reclamation portion in it.
And it defines what non-use is.
Well, it is what it is. We can't change it.
I know.
Well, we just want to make sure we just want to make sure these are removed when they're done. So, okay. Commissioner.
Well, Sean has asked a question. We don't want to belabor this. The planner has asked a question, and probably more, I'll direct it to the petitioner. If we find that the removal provision is not in there consistent with the transmission company's procedures, would you have a problem allowing that as a condition as you represented it?
No, no. And that's something that I'm sure the landlord would want us to do anyway, once they stop using it. That's fine.
So how would we do that?
Well, the first condition would be subject to the petitioner filing with us any information they have from American Transmission Tower as to the existing conditional use. Is that fine? The second one would be, and you would make it subject to any one of yourselves or the planner or the administrator, that either the conditional use contains the language consistent with the representations that the owner of the tower will remove the same upon non-use of the same, and a description of the non-use. Or if the conditional use doesn't say that they will work with the planner to put language in the site plan and plan of operation consistent with their representation.
Yes.
Does that meet with your?
Good with me.
concern?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to put words in their mouth. I'm just trying to parrot what they've represented they're willing to do. So we need to confirm with her that that's okay.
If she could confirm that to
Yes.
the clerk.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, let you know tomorrow what I find out from American Tower.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from staff at that point? All right, is there a motion on the site plan of operation amendment to allow structural reinforcements to be installed in the existing communications tower?
Subject to the conditions in the report and the added two conditions discussed tonight.
So moved.
Sherry, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brian. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 2, the site plan of operation amendment to allow a class 2 co-location for a T-Mobile on an existing communications tower. Is there a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Subject to the conditions in the planner's report and the two additional conditions discussed tonight.
Correct.
The T-Mobile ones are part of it as well, or just the?
Same tower.
Same tower, same.
Right, but they're two different approvals and two staff reports.
Right.
The first one was the structural improvements. We tied two conditions to it. We also tied the same two conditions for the T-Mobile co-location.
No, because the one that I brought up doesn't pertain to the T-Mobile one. It only applies to the structural modifications.
Alright.
All right, you're making the motion. If you don't want those two in there, that's fine.
Motion, Joe?
Yes.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Sean seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, item C was discussion necessary action.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thanks.
Thanks. Item C, discussion necessary action on the request by Lisa McNeil, Momentum Movement for the property located at North 68 West 26510 Wilderness Way, LSBT 0222.016 for the following. We have the conditional use permit for a limited family business for massage and physical therapy to be located on the accessory structure in the R1 suburban single-family residential zoning district. And 2 of the site plan of operation for a new massage and physical therapy business. I move that we table both of those until the May.
May 22nd.
May 20, it doesn't have to be time date, sir, but yeah, May 22nd meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
By Joe, no discussion on this, so Joe Osterman and Joe Eberly.
Joe
All in
motion.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries 5-0. Item 6, planner report.
Nope. You skipped D.
Discussion as intentional. Discussion necessary action on assigning annual quarry inspections.
Can you walk out your backyard?
All right,
I tried, guys,
so
I tried. Girls.
we have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, but we have 6 quarries that we need volunteers to do their annual inspections on. Once you guys have volunteered for those, then I will confirm by email along with the procedures and their current site plan of operation and conditional use permit.
I have one question which pertains to this. Since Hallquist was sold, their quarrying operation was sold to, yes. Is that one inspection or is that 2?
Talking about the ideal quarry?
No, I'm talking about the one that's across the street.
Technically, there's. You're talking about, because there's. the
Because
quarry on
we
each
used
side
to,
of the road.
we used to do 2 inspections, one for Vulcan's old one, which is now Land and Stone Products. And we did one for Hallquist. Now that with the change in ownership, is that 2 inspections or 1? Is it?
So Land and Stone has 4 locations. The Lisbon Pit on Town Line Road, the main West Quarry on Lisbon Road, the South Quarry on Lisbon Road, and the Sussex Quarry, which we just got from Sussex on Lisbon Road.
Those are technically 3 different inspections.
4.
But I mean, the one on Lisbon Road, the Vulcan Pit, the north and south quarry are technically 3 different inspections, and then the
Correct.
Town Line Road is the other inspection.
Yep.
I'm just trying to make sure we keep the paperwork flowing because
Yep.
we're creating a record which didn't exist a lot of it before. Okay,
Correct.
that answers my question. So,
Genesee Ag has 3 locations.
Yes.
Stark Pavement has 1, Lafarge has 1, Panandolin has 1, Hillquist has 1.
I will volunteer for Genesee Aggregates and for Stark. Since I've done those before. That takes care of 5 of them.
And do the one that I did last, they get inspected every year.
Every year.
Yep, I'm trying to think of the name of the one I did on Plainview and 164.
Payne and Dolan,
Is the asphalt plant.
Payne and Dolan.
Oh, Payne Dolan, yes. I do across the street.
So Sherry, did you say you want to do Payne and Dolan
Yeah, I can do
again?
that one again.
Okay.
I could do Ideal. Is Alquist still on the list?
Yep, Hellquist is the ideal quarry. You want that one, Sean?
When we did Hellquest last time, we had to do every single one of their pits
Left.
and one
Learning.
inspection.
Someone needs to take Lafarge and someone needs to take Lannonstone. And then we would really appreciate if one of you lovely people would volunteer to bring our new plan commissioner along with you on one of the inspections.
Oh, do you want Lafarge?
I'll take Lafarge. You
Oh.
can have.
Okay.
Joe will take
Well,
Lafarge, Brian is gonna take
Yeah, I've done-
Lannonstone.
I've done them all, so it doesn't matter to
If
me.
you could put the new indoctrinee in touch with me, I will talk to him or her and we'll set up something.
Excellent.
Don't scare him till the third meeting.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. I'm just gonna say he buys beer the first couple of
No going
nights.
to the bar and filling out.
All right, so I'm just gonna put down Joe E with Rob. Wonderful.
Everly does
I will
it again.
follow up with an email with all of your materials and your procedure checklist. Thank you all.
Shot.
Try.
You tried.
Six plan report. Anything?
No report.
That's the right answer. Item 7 is adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Brian. Is there a second?
Finally woke up.
I did.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, figure out at 9:21.